And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Clem versus Randolph. Step forward, please.
31-year-old home siding installer Mike Clem is suing his fiance's brother, 17-year-old James Randolph, for kicking his car in a fit of rage. James says he became upset when Mike refused to give him a ride to work.
Mr. Clem, the defendant is your soon-to-be brother-in-law.
Yes, Your Honor.
And he damaged your car.
Yes, ma'am.
In a fit of anger.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you want him to pay for it.
Yes.
You acknowledge, sir, that you damaged this car, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, tell me why you did that, and when you did that, and why you shouldn't be responsible for paying for it.
Well, at the time, I was extremely angry.
What were you angry at?
We got in a little fight because I was supposed to go to work that day. He said he would, and then...
He would what?
He would take me to work.
At what time was this?
It was maybe around 11:30ish.
So at 11:30 you asked him, and he said he could, and then what happened?
It was around 1 o'clock or so. He said, he started walking out the door, and I asked him again. Then he said he wasn't going to take me anywhere.
Did he say why?
He said he was going the opposite way.
So what did you do?
I got mad, and I went back in the house.
Tell me about his car.
Well, after I went in the house, he came inside, and he started yelling at me. My mother...
What was he yelling?
He was just saying, you jerk, and things like that.
Why, had you said anything nasty to him?
At the time, I didn't know.
Go ahead.
So then he kept on, saying the same things. My mom tried to get him, to sit down and everything and just calm down. He pushed my mother out of the way, and then I got extremely mad. And then we both ended up actually getting in a fist fight.
We haven't gotten to the car yet.
Well, after that, after he left, I was very angry. I had to do something. He pushed Mom out of the way. So I went up to the car, and
Which car?
This car is up on blocks.
And what'd you do?
No, I just kicked it because I was so mad.
I would like you to tell me your version of what happened. At 11:30 he asked you to take him to work?
No, ma'am.
Tell me what happened.
It was about 11 o'clock that morning. Him and his sister, my fiance, Stacy, went into town and to the store and some other odds and ends. At that point, he told her, I got to be at work at 12 noon. And to the best of my knowledge, she never agreed to take him. So when she got back with my truck, I had to go to work that day, which was on a Sunday, but I had to be at work. So he asked me, he said, can you take me to work? He said, you got to take me. I said, Keith, I said, no, I don't. I said, that's out of my way, and I said, I got to go to work. Well, he went back in the house. He slammed my door. Then he came back out when Stacy exited my house. She went to work with me that day and said something to her, and she said, Keith, she said, I can't take you. I'm going with Mike. Well, he got mad and went back into my house, slammed my door a second time. Well, then at that point in time, that's when I entered my house. And we got into a little screaming match. There was punches thrown, but there really was no connection to him. His mother did get in the middle of it, try to break it up. But to the best of my knowledge, and I mean, you may ask Stacy, she did not get pushed or hit.
Okay. Now, when did you notice any damage to your car?
It was the following day. I was out in the yard with Stacy and my uncle, and I happened to look in my yard, and I seen a big dent in my quarter panel. And when I went up to look at it, me and my uncle, you could visibly see a footprint.
Fine. So now, Mr. Randolph, I'd like you to tell me why you are not responsible for the damage.
Well, as I told you before about my mom...
I don't care about your mom. That doesn't give you license to go out and hurt his car. What's next?
But the thing is, I was so angry, and the car is old, it's all in blocks, there's a bunch of trash inside of it.
Is that your defense?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Can I see the pictures of the car and the estimate for the repair, please?
Yes, ma'am. And you can visibly see there is tires on the car, wheels and tires. At one time, there was a back tire off, and that was for us trying to push the dent out, and it would not come out.
How many times did you kick the car, sir?
4 times on each side.
And nasty. Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,490. Thank you.
Thank you,
Parties
Your
are
Honor.
excused. You may step out.
If you're going to do the damage, you're going to have to pay the price.
I had to do something. You know, I couldn't go after him, of course, because he is a big guy. He probably would have hurt me.
I gave him 3.5 months, and he never gave me $1.
They're going to be getting married soon. I don't know if I'm invited. If I am, way to go. If not, oh well.
Yeah, this is case number 519 on the calendar in the matter of Gaines versus Roderick. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Ms. Gaines, it is your claim that the defendant filed false assault charges against you after an incident that I can only describe as road rage. You want to tell me what started this incident and when it happened?
Okay. I was on my lunch break.
What date?
It was on December 19th,
2001?
2000.
Okay, go ahead.
What happened was Donna had ran a red light.
You didn't know her before?
No, I didn't. I didn't
Okay.
know her. She had ran a red light, cut across me. I looked over, and then she flipped me off. And then we started fussing back and forth. She had a phone. She had her cell phone on her.
So she was in front of you?
She was on the right side of me at that point.
So she was on the right side of you on her cell phone?
Correct.
Go ahead.
She started, at that point, she started coming across the lane, across the line, over like she was trying to hit me. And I didn't know what was going on. So I moved out of her way to prevent an accident. Also, I noticed she had her kid in the car, in the back seat. So, you know, I'm trying to get out the way to avoid an accident. She pulled over at the same time.
Behind you or in front of you?
Behind me.
And she got out of her car?
Correct.
And then what happened?
Okay, at that point, I felt she had a kid in the car. She was endangering my life. She was endangering her kid's life. As a citizen, I went over there and asked, what is your problem? You're driving recklessly. You need to watch what you're doing. And
Is that what you said to her? Just that way?
correct, yes.
Okay, go ahead.
And I left. I got back in my car. I didn't run. I got back in my car, and I proceeded back to work.
What happened next?
Okay, what happened, the vehicle was not registered to me. It was my roommate's father's vehicle. And of course it has a distinguished license plate. It had a name on there. So apparently, I guess, Donna had filed a false report, which I have the report here.
Can I see the report, please?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. Keep going.
Okay. Donna had filed a false report, and apparently the detective was trying to find out who the vehicle belonged to. He called...
Ultimately, you were arrested?
No, I was not arrested. Ultimately, I was charged.
Ultimately, the charges were dismissed. Is that right?
Correct.
And you are suing her for your attorney's fees, lost wages, and everything else
Correct.
for filing this false police report. Okay. Now I'll hear your version of the events, Ms. Roderick.
Okay, Your Honor. First of all, I did not run a red light because where I pulled out of, there was no red light. It was a stop sign. It was a side road. I was coming out from my house. I was making a left-hand turn, just like as I should have made a left-hand turn, and all of a sudden, I hear honking in the back of me.
That's
And-
incorrect.
I don't want you to interrupt her.
Okay.
I heard honking in the back of me. I'd had my 3-year-old son with me. I was in the left lane, and she was behind me honking. I then pulled to the right lane to let her pass because she was obviously aggravated, honking her horn.
Don't interrupt her. You're interrupting.
Okay.
I moved into the right lane to let her pass. Figured she was in a hurry, you know. And then she didn't pass me. She stayed next to my car, and she was the one flipping me off. I couldn't hear what she was saying, but it was obvious that what she was saying was foul language, flipping me off. She then tried to put her car into my lane. I then slowed down. She then proceeded, she got in front of me, and this is while traffic is moving along us. She slowed down, and then she stopped her car in the middle of traffic, in the middle of the lane. She stopped in front of me. I couldn't pull to the side of the road because there's a sidewalk, there's no space to pull over. She then rushed out of her car. I had my cell phone because I was going to call the police. She came rushing out of her car towards my car. I have my 3-year-old son in the car. I got out of my car because I didn't know at this point she'd tried to run me off of the road. I thought she was crazy already at this point. I got out of the car. I told her that she needed to get back in the car. I was going to call the police.
If you were afraid of me, why didn't you drive off?
Don't talk.
Ms. Gaines,
Because you were
with a phone.
You were in
Just
front
don't
she was in front of
Don't
me.
answer her. This is interesting.
She was in front of me, or I would have gotten away from her.
There is
Don't
a
respond
reverse
to
on
her.
your car.
You're demonstrating that you have a bad temper.
Okay.
So you're not helping yourself.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yes, I understand.
Good. So now you're up to the point where you have your cell phone and you're going to call the police.
Yes, and I told her if she, and we were in the middle of the street, traffic was going by, we were both in danger, and I was worried about my 3-year-old son in the car because we were right in the lane. I told her if she did not get back in her car and get going, I was going to call the police. She was in my face, threatening me, you don't know who you're messing with, and I attempted to call the police. She then tried to grab my cell phone from me.
How did you do that?
Well, she went to grab it, but it wasn't, I didn't let go of it. I pulled it back.
Okay.
At this point, she was then screaming. She grabbed me by the hair, pulled my hair, still cussing at me, and then she hit me in the forehead. At this point, I was scared. My son was crying. He was very upset. She got in her car and took off. I was very shaken, and I kept going. I pulled over when I could, and I'm on the phone trying to dial the police to let them know I'd just been assaulted. And I'm talking to the police, and I see a lady on this pulled over on the side of the road. She's waving at me, come here, and I then pulled up to this lady, and she asked me, "Are you okay? I saw everything. I got her license plate number for you," because it happened so quick. I was just stressed out. I was nervous. Luckily, the witness that I didn't know, she had saw everything. She gave me the license plate number. She was running late for an appointment, but she did leave her phone number for me in case she needed to be a witness in this.
You have a police report?
Yes, I do.
May I see it, please?
May I say something else later, Your Honor?
Well, this totally independent witness who did stop to give the defendant her name, her telephone number, was very clear in the statement that she gave to the police. The police interviewed her via telephone. She indicated that she saw you get out of the front of your car, which was pulled in front of hers, and the two of you began to argue. Then you, who had gotten out of the front car, hit the other female in the face with her hand, and then you ran back to your car and fled the scene.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Valerie Gaines says she was arrested when Donna Roderick filed a false report with police. Donna says Valerie attacked her in a fit of road rage.
So here we have a witness who clearly says she observed you do, Ms. Gaines, exactly what the defendant said that you did, which was to assault her. Just a second, I have some questions. Oh, you want to tell me something? I'll hear you. Then I'll ask you my questions.
Okay. I saw a lady or a person that was in a vehicle about 3 light poles away. In the statement, it should have showed, because I believe it's on there, she was looking through her rearview mirror.
So what?
We were parallel to her. She could not even see my back.
Don't tell me what you couldn't see. That's what you told the police.
Okay.
That's what you put in the police report.
Okay.
Can't tell me what you could or could not see.
And if I hit her, did she make a downward movement? Because if I would have hit her, she wouldn't have stayed in her standing
Ms. Gaines,
upright.
I don't know what you would have done, what you could have done when you hit her, Ms.
Right,
Gaines.
correct.
So now I have a few questions
not.
for you.
Okay.
When were you supposed to go to trial on this case?
Okay.
The first date.
The first day I was supposed to go, I guess, January 24th.
Oh.
I did not know because
Just a second.
Okay.
Did you retain an attorney?
I retained an attorney after I had went through 2 different, I went to court. Yeah, 2 times I had to go to court. And then at that time, I decided to obtain a lawyer.
Just one second. You went to court once, and you asked for an adjournment to get a lawyer. Don't play, I don't understand you, Judge Judy. You asked for an adjournment to get a lawyer, and then you came back to court, and you didn't have a lawyer. So you asked for another postponement to get a lawyer?
No.
Well, what did you go to court twice for, Ms. Gaines?
Okay. The first time I had to go to court, there was a bench warrant placed on me.
So now you got a bench warrant and you appear. Okay.
Correct.
So you appear. And what happened when you appeared? What did the judge tell you?
I can't remember exactly
Judge
at this
tell you
time.
that you should get a lawyer.
Well, yes, at that
Okay. Now, then you went back to court the second time. Did you come back to court the second time with or without a lawyer?
No, I did not.
What do you mean, no, you did not? I don't understand what that means.
This
You did
was
not come back with a lawyer.
I felt that it was a frivolous case, and I was
Pay
hoping
attention
that
to
we
my
could-
question.
yes.
You were
No, I
told to
didn't.
come back with a lawyer, and you did not come back with a lawyer.
No, I did not.
And then the judge said to you, I told you to come back with a lawyer. I'm going to postpone the case again and come back with a lawyer. Correct?
At that time, I thought we were going to go to trial, and I was not going to have a lawyer, but then we had to go further, because I thought we were going to dismiss the case. I was trying to get the case dismissed because I felt it was a frivolous case.
So then you got a lawyer.
And they wanted to pursue it. Then I did get a lawyer.
And when you came to court with a lawyer, on the third occasion, did you go to trial?
Yes, I did.
You did?
Yes.
Very interesting. So the first time the lawyer appeared in court, you were ready to go to trial.
Correct.
But there was no trial.
No.
There was no trial because?
It got postponed because
It
of
got
delay.
postponed. Why?
The judge postponed it because of time.
Counsel did, Your Honor.
The time,
counsel
the
did.
judge,
Our counsel
the
did.
judge
Yes.
proposed.
How many times did the witness, Miss Roderick, appear in court?
I'm
Excuse me, I'm speaking. How many times did this witness appear for you, this witness who had nothing to do with this incident? Wasn't your friend, wasn't your sister, wasn't your mother, wasn't anybody else. How many times did this person take time off from work or other business to come to court to testify on your behalf?
I believe it was 3 times.
Okay. And on those 3 occasions, she did not get to testify. Is that right?
No, she didn't. It was continued again.
Right. That's what defense lawyers do. They continue. Put your hand down. They continue cases because what they do is they figure they're going to wear down a witness. And eventually, this Good Samaritan witness is going to get fed up with taking time off from work to come to testify at this trial.
I believe that's exactly what happened.
Well, I don't know whether it's exactly what happened or not, but it's probably pretty close. In any event, Ms. Gaines, you have absolutely no civil case against the defendant.
Excuse me, Your Honor?
Absolutely none. I have to believe that she made up this story. Now, perhaps if it were just the two of you, I would have a much easier time in believing that she just made up this story out of spite. However, the police interviewed a totally independent witness who appeared in court, maybe not 3 occasions, maybe 2 occasions, when either you or your lawyer requested a continuance and was prepared to testify consistent with her statement to the police, which was that she saw you hit her. Go ahead.
Excuse me. Okay. I would like to say that it was not my lawyer that kept continuing the case. It was the judge, because there was so much time that was being delayed by other cases.
Fine. It was the judge. It was the judge who continued the case.
Okay. And the main thing was I was found not guilty.
No, you weren't. You never went to trial.
I did go to trial. I was found not guilty. Here's a deposition. I was found not guilty.
So you did go to trial with
Yes.
just the two of you testifying,
Yes, and
but
we
not the witness.
testified.
Exactly.
Ah,
The witness
okay.
had
I
missed
got it.
work enough.
Okay.
I missed work too. Also, I have
Who
stress.
cares? You hit her.
I missed stress. I did not hit her.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
I did not hit this
Yes, you
woman.
did.
I did not touch her. I don't know what her problem is.
I just
I
picked
am
you.
the-
I
Ms.
just
I am
picked
Roderick,
the
you.
victim.
Ms. Roderick,
That's
I am not prepared to say, based upon what I have read today, you were not found innocent. You were not found innocent.
that disposition says I was found not guilty.
That's what it says. There is a difference between innocent and not guilty. The not guilty says that the district attorney took the case to trial because the district attorney felt that there was sufficient evidence to go to trial. And after trial, either the court or if there was a jury found that the district attorney had not sustained their burden beyond a reasonable doubt, which is clearly not the standard of proof in a civil trial. Civil trial, in this trial, the quantum of proof is a preponderance of evidence, which is more evidence than not.
Okay.
Clearly, the police had absolute justification for issuing a bench warrant for you. There is an independent witness who unfortunately didn't show up for the 3rd time for trial, who told the police that she saw you hit her. So you have no case, Miss Gaines.
How far away
Your case
was
is
she?
dismissed.
How
I
far
have no
away
idea. She's not here.
What?
That's all.
Oh, I'm railroaded.
excuse
I've
me,
been
step out.
railroaded. I can't believe this.
I'm glad that Judge Judy was able to see through her.
I've lost a lot of money.
I did the right thing by calling the cops.
This is BS.
If she needs to say that to make people think that's what it was, that's fine.
I did not touch her.
All I know is she did put her hands on me.
I got a lawyer to fight my case. and this is all BS.
I don't know why it escalated. Maybe she was having a bad day.
I'm telling you, I didn't touch her.
She's irate right now, screaming and yelling.
I'm telling you, this whole thing is BS. I should have just went on my own.
That's on her. I don't really, that just shows how ignorant she is.
This whole thing is BS.
Look at her attitude now. She didn't touch me, though.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Phillips versus Crane. Step forward.
21-year-old car service writer Billy Phillips is suing his ex-girlfriend, 21-year-old receptionist Emily Crane, for a down payment on a car. Emily says Billy took the vehicle back.
Mr. Phillips, let me see if I understand your complaint.
Okay.
I really wasn't quite sure that I was reading it correctly.
Okay.
You and the defendant dated. She needed a car or wanted a car. You made the following agreement with her. You would purchase a car in your name.
Correct.
You put down the deposit, which was $1,000,
Correct.
and you were going to take care of the expenses on the car until she turned 21.
That is correct.
And when she turned 21, she would take over all of the payments and give you your $1,000.
Correct.
Before she turned 21, the two of you broke up.
Yes.
So after you broke up, you went and took back the car
Correct.
before she was 21.
Yes. In the beginning
Now
of...
you have possession of the car,
Correct.
and you want her to pay you the $1,000 deposit.
Correct.
Are you nuts? Mr. Phillips, your original agreement with her was she turns 21, she gives you back your $1,000, and she takes over the car payments. And when she's paid it off, you give her the pink slip to the car, so that it's titled in her.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
What was the reason you took the car back before she turned 21?
Because the car was still in my name.
Oh, but that's not her fault.
I'm not saying it was, Your Honor. I just...
But you breached the agreement, sir.
So...
You breached the agreement. She didn't breach the agreement by not turning 21 earlier.
I'm not saying
she
she
has to
did.
wait until she's 21. That's something beyond her control. You breached the agreement by taking the car back. Now, if she had turned 21 and she did not give you back your $1,000 and assumed the car payments, then you have a right to take the car back and say, you breached the agreement. You didn't give me back my $1,000, but you made it impossible for her to perform her agreement with you because you repossessed the car. Why do you think you're entitled to your $1,000?
Basically because that was the agreement we agreed on.
No, it wasn't. The agreement that you had, sir, was that she was going to give you the $1,000, pay off the car, and have a car. That was the agreement. She wasn't going to give you the $1,000 and pay off a car with you in possession of the car. She was going to have a car to drive around in. You took back the car before she turned 21. Am I getting through to you?
Yes, you are getting...
Perfect. Case dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Yeah, this is case number 534 on the calendar in the matter of Trester versus Richardson. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats.
Miss Trester, the defendant was a roommate of yours, and it is your claim that when she moved out, she purposely bleached your clothes, and in addition, she either took or stole some of your property.
Yes.
Defendant says nonsense. When did you move in together?
We moved in August.
How many people were sharing the apartment?
There's 4 of us all together.
Was it an apartment, a
It
townhouse?
was a townhome, three levels.
Were you going to school or working?
I do both.
And the other people?
My brother and the other roommate work, and Layla was working at the time.
When did you move out?
I moved out on November 9th, 2000.
Had you signed the lease?
Yes, I had.
So you broke your lease when you moved out?
No, I had cleared it with our landlord.
But you were breaking your lease by moving out early?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me why you moved out.
I moved out because I would come home various nights from work, and pretty much in the living room, couch, entertainment center, everything was mine. And stuff was getting misused on my entertainment center. My cats were purposely being let outside, and they weren't outside cats. And I was just, you know, I moved all my stuff up to my room pretty much. And a couple days later, I was in Cheyenne, Wyoming, visiting a friend. Cassandra called me and pretty much told me that it was unfair that I moved my stuff upstairs because, you know, all the roommates were using it. And I explained that pretty much, you know, if they can't use it properly, it is my stuff. I should be able to move it up to my room if I'd like to. And pretty much after that, we just weren't getting along, arguing, yelling at each other. And I had previously been in a car accident. I didn't need any extra stress, so I figured it was better for both of us just to end the situation and for me to move out and move on.
Now, Ms. Trestor, it is your claim that the defendant damaged some of your property, and that was on the 9th of November?
Yes.
Well, tell me about it.
Well, actually, to correct her, the reason she moved out is we actually had a physical confrontation a couple days before. She had thrown a bowl at my head and I slapped her back.
She'd thrown a what at your head?
A cat food bowl at my head, and I had slapped her back. I went in later that day and apologized and was like, we'll work these things out. I know you lost your job, you don't have rent. I can cover you for a little bit longer. We just need to work on it. She wasn't paying her bills.
How long hadn't she paid the rent?
It was due on the 1st, so she moved out on the 9th, so it was 9 days late. And the main thing was that our bills she had written checks to bounced, and she was unwilling to take care of them. That was the problem, and she was like, I'm too busy to take care of it, so I was like, well, you need to take care of it or get out. At that point, we were okay. I came home. I felt that her moving her stuff out of the front room was vindictive because she was doing it because she was upset at me. And I told her, if this is the way it's going to continue to be, maybe it'll be better if you get out. I would rather have you out. She said that I was overreacting. We needed to talk about it. So I was like, we'll talk about it when I get home from work the next day. She called me at work from that day, that was on the 7th, and told me that she was moving out. I went home that night to monitor things getting moved around because, of course, things always get taken when people move out. And her mom and her were egging me on to fight, saying that I wasn't tough enough, so I went up into my room and stayed until I had heard that they'd left. When I left, I came downstairs to grab all my stuff, because while I was up in my room, I heard her and her mom constantly going, is this Cassie's stuff? If it is, I don't care, break it. It's not mine. I don't care, break it. Hearing things thud, hit the wall, laughing, just very horrible things. So when I came downstairs, the first thing I went to was my clothes, because that's most important to most girls. But and I went into there, and the bleach was just overwhelming. Like, my eyes started burning.
On what floor is the laundry room?
It's on the first level. The 2 bedrooms are upstairs, so I came downstairs, and I could smell bleach as soon as I got to the bottom of the stairs and went in there. And lo and behold, all of my clothes have bleach on them. And the bleach bottle was standing up and had the cap on it. So I called the police and made a report, and that's this for you.
What other items do you say that the defendant has of yours?
Clothes, books. She had also borrowed a bunch of things from me because I always was open to letting her borrow whatever she wanted as long as she returned it. And I'd asked for her to give that stuff back before she moved out. And she said that she would and never did. She moved out, and about 2 weeks after she was completely out of the house, I came home and there were multiple things missing, including almost half of my wardrobe. I had barely anything left. And of course, I live with 2 boys, so they're not borrowing it. And she still had the keys at that time that she was unwilling to give because she stated that she was still on the lease until I got a new person on the lease, and she was entitled to come over.
I'll hear you.
Thank you. Actually, the night we were moving out, about a couple days before, about me throwing a cat bowl.
I don't care about cat bowl. I care about her bleached clothing.
Yeah, the night we were moving out, I had quite a few friends over helping me pack, and my own mother. And my mom had gone in the bathroom saying, you know, is any of this stuff yours, Layla? And I said, the bleach is mine, but there's not enough to even worry about taking. There's probably like an inch left in the bottle, so I wasn't even gonna worry about it. And I also, if you would like to look at it, my mom was supposed to be my witness today, because in the police report you can see that Cassie actually said my mother bleached her clothes.
I don't care if it was her mother or if it was you or one of the friends that you brought over.
Okay.
Madam, you're responsible.
Okay.
I mean, that's easy. Nobody bleaches their own clothes.
Can I make another point, please?
Just a second. Nobody bleaches their own clothes. And if you just said to me, I was there with my mother and some other of my friends who came to help me move, it's clear to me that she did not bleach her own clothes. So either you bleached her clothes. I can't imagine your mother being immature enough to bleach her clothes, but maybe one of your friends. Maybe your mother, when she got annoyed and she said, is this bleach yours? And you said, yes, but it's not worth taking because there's only an inch left in it. And she said, fine, and poured it out. Something like that, but you're responsible for her clothes. Next.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Cassandra Trestor says ex-roommate Layla Richardson owes for bleaching her clothes. Cassandra also claims that while moving out, Layla stole her belongings.
You have any of her clothing?
No, I don't.
I'm going to say it again. Do you have any of her clothing?
No, I don't, ma'am. And can I just say one more thing about
Sure.
when I was moving out? We were moving out, and I got my stuff in trucks to go to the storage unit to put in there, and it was about 8:30, and we were walking right past that bathroom. I didn't smell any bleach. I am really unaware of what happened, honestly. If you can look at the police report, that would be great.
Why would you think she would bleach her own clothes?
I really don't know, but...
Now, what's the value of the clothing that was bleached and destroyed?
Sorry, I don't have it all added. I have it all added in between.
Okay, let me have it.
Turtleneck, which was $80. Trans 9 pants, $80 as well. Long sleeve blue shirt, just $20. Pair of jeans, $50. Black short sleeve shirt worth $20. Blue Chinese riding shirt, which is $30. A black sweater, which is $30, and pajama bottoms worth $10.
$320. Now, you have no direct proof that she stole anything from your house.
Actually, I do.
I'd like to hear the proof.
Jeremy called me and was like, Layla just came
Don't-
over. Jeremy.
What's your last name?
Skog.
Okay. How do you know these people?
At the time, I was Layla's best friend and also a very good friend of Cassie's.
Okay.
I was there with Layla helping her move her things out. What Cassie said about Layla taking different articles of her clothing, or I'm sorry, different things out of the kitchen and stuff, is this Cassie's, okay, then break it. That is correct. That happened several times throughout the night. I went into the bathroom to go to the bathroom, and I recall there being a strong odor of cat litter, and I actually mentioned something about that. After I left the bathroom, only 2 people went into the bathroom before Cassie found the bleach, which was Layla and her mother. Later that night, after everything had happened, right after the police officer had called me, Layla called me and said, "Please don't say that my mom and I did it. I swear I had nothing to do with it. Please don't say that my mom and I did it." I told her I'd already talked to the police officer and that I said I wasn't positive that she had done it, but that I had told the police officer that the only 2 people in the bathroom were Layla and her mother. A couple days later, she called me and said, "I want you to see how cute I look today. Can I come over?" I said, "Absolutely." She came over and she was wearing the purple floral skirt of Cassie's that she had lost and the gray New York sweater. And
Yeah, just a second. Yes?
I'm sorry, I obviously didn't steal any of her clothes.
Well, let's talk about that particular outfit.
I-
He's not lying. He's telling me the truth.
Okay. Well,
He's telling me the truth. That's what he saw you wearing.
okay, well, actually, I don't have a pink floral skirt or anything. I
You
don't
don't
wear
have one that belongs
skirts.
to you.
correct.
No, I don't wear skirts, ma'am.
Listen to me.
I don't have
Listen to me.
her clothes.
He's not lying to me. How do I know that? I don't share my secrets, but I know that he's not lying to me.
And then I believe almost every day that week, she had come over wearing something that I recognized as Cassie's. The gray New York sweatshirt that she was wearing, or the sweater vest that she was wearing at the time, actually was one of the reasons that these 2 were fighting, was because Cassie, it was her favorite sweater, and she'd asked for it back several times, and Layla refused. Every time we went to Layla's house that she was wearing it, she would take it off before we even went into the house so that Cassie didn't see it. Layla has her lip and her eyebrow pierced. She had Cassie's horseshoe barbell in her lip and a barbell in her eyebrow as well, which belonged to Cassandra as well. I've seen her in the clothes several times.
Cassandra doesn't get any high marks for having places to put those.
Actually, I don't have that many places. They're extra for my belly button. She used them for her eyebrow ring.
I'll hear your witness. You have a witness? Is
Yes,
that why you
his
brought
name
this
is
person?
Steven Snow. He was there the same night also.
Okay, Steve, I've already decided that she or her mother bleached the clothes. So I want you to pass over the bleaching. I don't want you to waste your time with nonsense about the bleaching. She or her mother bleached the clothes. What do you know about any other clothes that are in Miss Richardson's possession that don't belong to her? Do you know anything about that?
I do not.
Good, then you may be seated. Miss Richardson.
Yes?
If you're going to lie big. You don't lie over $500, which is what the plaintiff is suing for. She's suing for $500 for her clothes. The bleached clothes alone come to $320. I would give her the $500 just because you were nasty. But I found that you do, in fact, have other of her property that you decided for some reason to appropriate for your own use. I would suggest you better grow up. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Stuff was being thrown around, but nothing was broken. I was in the same bathroom, didn't smell any smell.
The judge knew he was telling the truth.
He's only there for 10 minutes. I'm sure he knew a lot.
Maybe she's vindictive, I don't know.
I think the truth came out, and I'm glad that it happened.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Tao versus Perry. Step forward, please.
27-year-old claims adjuster Daisy Tao is suing ex-boyfriend, 33-year-old graphic artist Adam Perry, for an unpaid loan. Adam says the money in question was to pay Daisy's bills.
Ms. Tao, the defendant is a former boyfriend of yours. I gather that you lived together for a brief period of time. You claim 2 loans to the defendant totaling $2,500. Relationship is over, you want your money.
Yes, that's correct, ma'am. I did not live with him, though. That's not correct.
You did not?
No, I never lived with him.
Okay. When, I'll get to you in a second. When was the first loan?
On February 9th, 2001.
What was it for?
He's told me that he was behind in rent, car payment, that he didn't have any money, and so I helped him out. I gave him a loan of $1,500 that we agreed upon that he would pay me back when he got his taxes. And in March, he told me that he was still short and behind on his mortgages.
Could you put your hand down?
And so then I had to loan him another $1,000. And so at that point, I was getting a little concerned, and I did tell him that I expected him to pay me back. He agreed to this and said that he would pay me back in the summer, because at the time he was unemployed and trying to go to school.
Where were you living in February of 2001?
I lived at home in Little Canada, Minnesota.
At home with whom?
With my family.
Where were you living in March?
At home.
And where was the defendant living?
He lived in Dayton, Minnesota.
Were you working?
Yes.
Did you ever stay over at his house or apartment?
I would go to see him once in a while, yes.
I'm asking you a question. I expect honest answers. Do you understand? Did you ever stay over at his home?
Yes, I've spent the night at his house, yes.
On an average of how many nights a week?
Maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks.
Now, Mr. Perry, it is agreed that she gave you $2,500.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, you tell me what that money was for.
In January, Your Honor, she wanted to move in together. I had a relative living with me, and she asked if I had my relative move out.
Your Honor, that is not true.
I don't want you to interrupt him.
So my cousin moved out, and she agreed to roughly pay half of the bills, which I have a list of a couple of months, which total a little over $1,100, and she said she would pay half.
That's not true, Your Honor.
Do you want...
I'm sorry, ma'am. I don't mean to be disrespectful. What
Then you
he's saying
can't
is not true.
speak when he's speaking. When, according to you, did she move into your home?
In early January.
She moved all of her clothes and belongings and...
She had clothes, belongings, hair dryers, curling irons.
Are you telling me, sir, that she moved all of her personal belongings from her parents' house into your house?
She wasn't living at her parents' house, Your Honor.
Where was she living?
She would stay at some friend's house, and she moved from place to place, and that's why she asked, because she was going to switch her job position and move closer to where I lived so that we could be together.
So she moved in January?
Yes, Your
And
Honor.
she agreed to, according to you, roughly pay half the expenses?
Exactly what my cousin was paying, which was about $500.
Well, now you changed the story.
Mm-hmm.
So which is the story, that she agreed to pay for roughly half the expenses, or that you had a fixed amount of $500?
It was about $500, Your Honor.
Now, about $500, sir, isn't an agreement.
No.
So what was it? Well, let's say this. She moved in January.
Yes.
Did she give you a check in January?
No. She did not
No,
give me...
shh, no.
Okay.
She gave you nothing in January.
No.
And then on February 9th, she did give you $1,500.
Yes.
Is that right?
She said...
Just a minute. And that was the beginning of February.
Yes.
So I assume you were going to tell me that at the beginning of February, having lived there for 1 month and having had an agreement with you that she would pay you roughly $500 a month, she decided to pay you for January.
Yes, Your Honor.
And February.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then prepay March.
Yes, Your Honor.
So that's $1,500.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then in March, right now she's already paid in March, for March. But in March, she gives you another $1,000.
Yes.
And that is, I assume you're going to testify that she said to you, well, I've already paid for March, but I like to pay my bills in advance, so I'm going to pay you for April and May.
Yes, she gave me money.
Yes, that's what you're telling me.
Yes,
That's
Your
what she
Honor.
did. Is that right?
Yes.
Bull. That's not the way it works, sir. 'Cause 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 If somebody agrees to move in with you as a roommate, and let's say she fell behind in January, so she maybe would have given you January, if I believed your story, January and February. So she would have given you $1,000 to cover January and February.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then when March came, she would have paid you $500 for March, so she would have given you a total of $1,500 for January, February, and March.
Yes.
And what you're telling me is, no, that's not what she did. She paid you 3 months at one time, a little in advance, and then she paid you for 2 months after that. I don't believe you, sir.
She wanted me to keep ahead, Your Honor.
I don't believe you, sir. I believe that you fell behind in your bills. Now, you didn't tell me about that. Did you fall behind in your bills?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So you needed money.
Yes.
Is that right? Did you say anything to her about giving her back any money when you got your tax returns in April?
I did not, Your Honor.
Mm-hmm.
She was there at least 4 days a week, Your Honor.
I was
Oh,
not.
shh, just a minute. Mr. Perry, when somebody lives with you full-time,
Yes.
they are not there 4 days a week.
No, she was not living with me full-time.
Give her back her money, Mr. Perry. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. He's on Velardo versus Velardo. Step forward, please.
Hairstylist Adria Velardo says she bailed her stepson, 27-year-old computer artist Frank Velardo, out of jail, and he won't pay her back. Frank says he made it clear that he would never pay her back.
Order. All rise.
Your Honor, this is case number 147 on the calendar in the matter of Velardo versus Velardo. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir.
Mrs. Velardo, this is your stepson.
Yes.
And I assume this is your husband.
Yes.
How long have you been married?
8 years. 8 years.
Why are you laughing? Was it
Because
that good?
it's, I'm like, I always thought he was going to be the one to forget. No, it was me.
Okay. According to your complaint, your stepson, this gentleman here, was arrested.
Mm-hmm.
You posted a substantial part of his bail money, $2,200.
Mm-hmm.
And he won't give it back to you.
Correct.
So, let's turn to you. You were arrested
For a traffic ticket.
for a ticket,
2 tickets.
totaling how much money?
One was not a traffic ticket.
Don't interrupt.
What I'm trying to understand is, did you want to know how much the bail was, or did you want to know how much the tickets were for when I went and appeared?
What I want to know, sir, is this. If you're arrested for 2 traffic tickets, you don't get bail of, in this case, I think it was $2,800.
Because they were extremely old is why.
How old were the 2 traffic tickets?
One was a year and a half, and one was almost 3 years, 2.5 years.
And traffic tickets, you mean for parking in the wrong place?
Speeding.
So it was moving violation.
They were moving violations, yes. And they were both dismissed later by the judge because they were already paid.
So you were bailed out. Bail is to ensure your appearance.
Mm-hmm.
Once you appear, bail is usually exonerated and you get the bail money back, unless the fines are so tremendous that the fines somehow eat up the bail money. So are you certain that what you're telling me is 100% accurate, that what you were arrested for were 2 traffic tickets on which the judge set $28,000 bail?
I believe, yeah, one was 15 and one was 13. And I don't believe that the money is given back for bail. When I went and appeared on the tickets, there was a small fine given for one, which I've paid in Van Nuys, and the other ticket was dismissed in Pomona because I had already paid it. I don't think the tickets are really the issue as much as the fact that I was being railroaded into paying money I didn't ask for.
Just a second. What was he arrested for?
Okay, one was a traffic ticket in Pomona for driving on a suspended license and no insurance at the time. And the one in Van Nuys was Division 3. It is the criminal division. It was for switching price tags at an electronics store in the Valley.
That doesn't sound familiar to you?
It was a misdemeanor. It wasn't criminal.
Wasn't a traffic ticket either.
felony or a misdemeanor are both considered crimes, sir. A felony is just a more serious crime. A misdemeanor is a less serious crime. Now, this switching price tags, was that the crime for which you were actually arrested?
Yes, yes, it was.
And it was after you were arrested on that this outstanding warrant fell on you?
Yes.
Okay. Now it sounds more logical. Now, Mr. Velardo, you were in fact arrested. According to you, you were taken into custody and you were entitled to a phone call. You made a phone call to your wife's mother, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Who wasn't home.
Right.
And you were pretty panicked because you didn't want to spend any time in jail.
Right.
Who was the next call you made?
To my stepmother.
And what did you say to your stepmother?
I asked her, because I didn't know how many phone calls I was going to be able to make, to continue to call my mother-in-law so she could take care of the situation.
When you mean take care of the situation, you mean get the money and get the bail?
Exactly.
So you were confident that your mother-in-law would come up with the now $2,200 in bail money?
Yes.
But she didn't get through to your mother-in-law?
She did not come home till late that night, till well after I was released.
Okay. So it was owing to your stepmother that you actually got out of jail?
It is owing to her? Yes. Did I ask for it? No.
You didn't say, I'm going to stay in jail, did you?
I wasn't going to stay in jail. I knew as soon as my mother-in-law was home or my wife was off work, it could have been handled quickly. I mean, I was in Malibu jail.
Just a second. Now, your excuse is to paying her this money back, that you told her that there was no way you could pay the money back.
Correct.
That's not true. It's not true.
And I assume that you would have told your mother-in-law the same thing.
Right.
So why don't you get the money from your mother-in-law and give it back to your stepmother?
I shouldn't be put in this situation. I never asked for it.
I shouldn't.
And then I was railroaded, and I was threatened to have my legs broken by my own father.
Just a second.
I was threatened to have my legs broken by my own father.
Miss Velardo, Miss Velardo, Miss Velardo.
All right, and that's the God's
Miss
honest
Velardo.
truth.
I'm listening. This is still a court, so put your hands down and be quiet till it's your turn. Okay. Good.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
I'm assuming that everything he says is true. That his mother-in-law thinks he's such a prize package that she would have put up the $2,200 so that her daughter would be a happy camper and she would have Prince Charming home.
And later today,
he bounced up on the hood of your car and smashed your windshield.
That's right.
And then you slid off.
That's correct.
You're lucky you're not dead.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Hairstylist Adria Velardo says she bailed her stepson, 27-year-old computer artist Frank Velardo, out of jail, and he won't pay her back. Frank says he made it clear that he would never pay her back.
How old are you?
27.
You get arrested, you get put in jail. If you don't want somebody to bail you out, you don't have the money to, then you sit in jail until your court case comes up. That's
right.
what you do.
That's right.
You chose not to do that. You chose to get on the phone and start calling around and asking around for your mother-in-law to bail you out. When you couldn't get a hold of your mother-in-law, you called your stepmother. You told your stepmother, keep trying to call my mother-in-law, assuming that that's true. I'm taking everything that he says is true.
Well, that was both of our mistakes.
I'm assuming that everything he says is true. Some of it doesn't make sense.
Okay.
I'm assuming that everything he says is true. That his mother-in-law thinks he's such a prize package that she would have put up the $2,200 so that her daughter, Nicole, that's your wife, would be a happy camper and she would have Prince Charming home.
Yeah.
Right? You owe her $2,200. Pay it. Judgment for the plaintiff, that's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I didn't ask for it. I never asked her to bail me out. I never asked for money. My father's lost his son and grandchildren and everything over this, all due to a stepmother who I dislike very much.
He's my son, and I'm just embarrassed that this whole situation happened. I wish it didn't, but he has to learn that you just can't borrow money from everybody and not pay it back. That's the bottom line.
And now the next case.
Parties on Rotar, Kinch versus Settle. Step forward, please.
19-year-old Lori Rotar says 46-year-old manager Paul Settle smashed her windshield when her car hit him as he was crossing the street. Lori wants Paul to pay for the windshield.
Who was driving?
I was.
You are the owner of the car?
That's correct.
Were you in the car when this happened?
No.
Why don't you have a seat? You're driving along.
Mm-hmm.
He hits your car, but he's walking. Right?
Well, we collide together.
Well, he hit your car.
Well, yeah.
But he was a pedestrian.
Mm-hmm.
And when you hit her car, you smashed her windshield.
That's correct.
You want him to pay for the windshield.
Yes.
So why don't you tell me how this happened?
Okay. I was coming from a friend's house, and I was just driving, and I didn't notice anybody was walking or anything. You know, there was, you know, nobody in the crosswalk or not. You know, I'm coming up to the stoplight, you know, and then he must have been like swerving in and out of cars. And as soon as I seen him, I mean, I completely stepped on the brakes as much as I could. You know, I thought maybe he would have seen me coming from a distance, like, oh, you know, there's a car coming, you know, let me move out the way, you know, or something like that.
So?
And then I just proceeded to go straight. And
No. You didn't go straight after you hit him.
Well, no.
You were traveling along.
Yes.
The two left lanes were clogged with traffic.
That's right.
And you were in one of those left lanes to
The middle
start
one.
with, right?
The middle one, yes.
So you decided, since you weren't making the left turn and the right-hand lane was clear, you went into the right lane.
That's right.
And were tooling along. All of a sudden, he steps out of nowhere. You didn't see him.
Correct.
And your car hit him.
Correct.
Now, when your car hit him, he came up on the front hood of the car, right?
Yeah, like.
So you must have hit it pretty hard.
Well, I mean, not really, because I mean, I was going like, I'm driving like at least 20, 25. Driving.
You're lucky you're not dead.
I agree.
You're lucky you're standing here.
Yep.
No.
But he bounced up on the hood of your car.
That's correct.
And smashed your windshield.
That's correct.
How much did it cost you to have fixed?
$332.10.
So you hit him, or he hit you?
Well, we both.
You hit each other.
That's correct.
And you stopped immediately, I assume?
Yes.
Did you fall off the hood of the car, sir?
I stayed on the hood for several minutes, just sort of assessing myself, trying to feel if there were any broken bones.
Am I alive?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Exactly right.
Okay. And then you slid off.
I slid off, went over to the curb. There were some good Samaritans there, some witnesses. They took care of me, sat me down on the curb, and we waited for the police.
Did you have any injuries?
After the fact, I went to my internal medicine person, and I was complaining at that time of back injuries, soreness, and so on.
You were
aches
sore
and
all
pains.
over.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I've been going to a chiropractor, and so I had a back sprain, strain, and a subluxation, dislocation of vertebrae.
And you thank God every day that you're
Every
here
day,
that
absolutely.
you're here to complain about a little soreness.
You bet.
Now, you, sir, were jaywalking.
Yes, sir, ma'am. That's exactly right.
And according to you, you were, in fact, weaving in and out of cars.
That's correct. They were stationary.
So you decided to cross. You were in the middle of the street?
We were between two intersections. They were waiting for a stoplight. There were two lanes of traffic, and they were both lanes were stationary. The third lane was wide open, and I checked before I stepped into that third lane, looked both right and left, and there were no cars in that lane when I stepped into that intersection, and that's where I met Miss Roeder.
Okay.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
A seemingly intelligent, mature person who's weaving in and out of cars.
I had forgotten my wallet, and I was meeting some friends at a local pub.
You mean they were proofing you for age?
Yes, I said,
Oh,
thanks very much.
I would go there all the time.
Closed captioning sponsored in part by Real Cases, Real People, Judge Judy. Lori Rotar wants Paul Settle to pay for her broken windshield after she hit him with her car.
The problem is, Ms. Rotar, when you're behind a car, you have to be a totally defensive driver.
That's right.
You got to anticipate everything. You got to anticipate
right.
children running out to get a ball.
That's right.
an animal running across the street.
That's right.
And a seemingly intelligent, mature person who's weaving in and out of cars, trying to get to the other side. By the way, were you trying to get to the other side for a really vital, important appointment?
I had forgotten my wallet, and I was meeting some friends at a local pub, and I went to the door. They said, "You need some identification." I was flattered. I said, "You need identification from me?"
You mean they were proofing you for age?
Yes, I said, "Thanks very much."
I would go there all the time.
That's right, that's right. So I basically was going back to my car to pick up the wallet. And that was the situation.
Okay, so it wasn't an emergency?
No, no.
Okay. Well, it seems to me that but for your act, the windshield wouldn't have been broken. But for the fact that when you're driving a car, you're really almost totally responsible for what happens, you would have an intact windshield. So it seems to me you both should share the cost of this windshield.
One point that I have is, and maybe you'd like a copy of this, my cost for chiropractic care so far is $592.76. And we're really just in the middle of this situation. Now, I had been willing to chalk this up as bad luck on my part. When Miss Kinch called me on April 9th, I assumed that her insurance company would take care of the cracked windshield, and I was just going to say, well, I'm lucky that I'm alive, and call it even Steven. I figured each party was going to suffer some damages, and I was willing to pay for my own. But at this point, my damages are double what Ms. Roeder...
Let me take a look at your bills, sir. And none of these bills are covered by insurance?
They are covered by insurance. We're negotiating right now. It's supposed to be my auto insurance is covering these, supposedly. We're negotiating.
They should. Well, they should.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have them, so that you don't have any out-of-pocket expenses.
That's right. But again, it's the principle.
Well, we're not here for principle.
Okay.
Right now, we're here for dollars and cents.
Right.
And right now, you don't have any out-of-pocket expenses because your insurance is going to cover it. Now, what about your insurance? Does your insurance cover the glass on your car?
I don't know that, because it's my grandmother's car. I was just borrowing it.
I just step up.
Yes.
You're Mrs. Kinch.
Yes.
You lent your granddaughter your car.
That's right.
Never had an accident before?
No.
First.
Right.
And has been responsible with it.
Very responsible. Otherwise, I never would allow it.
Do you have insurance that covers the
Yes,
glass
I
damage?
do.
You
Yes,
do?
I do. And the deductible is $250. And the amount that we're asking for, like Lori stated, was $332. But may I make a...
Well, just a minute. How much was the replacement glass for the window?
The actual glass replacement, I went to the most economical provider I could find, and that was $288.10.
Well, where does the $332 come from?
Well, it's the filing fees and for transportation because the car could not be driven because of the broken windshield.
Well, I'm going to consider the actual out-of-pocket expense that you had, which is $288.10.
Okay.
And you have a deductible of $250, right?
Yes.
So your actual out-of-pocket expense is just $250.
Right. May I say that on Thursday, May 28th, Mr. Suttle's insurance adjuster called me and was willing to settle a claim for half the amount.
Half what amount?
Of the windshield, the cost. Well, the cost of my claim, actually, the total amount of the claim, which was $332.10.
That's an offer of settlement. You should have taken it.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. Want justice? Call 1-888-800-JUDY.
Now, if your total out-of-pocket expenses are in fact $250, because that's the cost of your deductible, and all of your medical bills are being covered, correct? You don't have at this point a counterclaim. You are always free to file a claim if it's within a certain time frame.
That's what I understand.
Right. And you didn't sue her.
I did not.
Okay. $250 is the claim. I believe that each of you are at least partially responsible for what happened. You understand that if you're driving a car, you are almost per se responsible for anything that you hit, anything that breathes that you hit.
Yes.
And it's great that you have a terrific driving record. He was wrong. You know, kids run out between cars, but adults shouldn't. That's why we have jaywalking laws.
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't breaking the law. You were.
I admit I was jaywalking.
So it's going to cost you $125. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Thank you.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Parties on LeBeouf versus Corlett. Step forward.
23-year-old Missy LeBeouf wants her party guest, Chris Corlett, to pay for the door he kicked in after his brother Matt was kicked unconscious at her party.
Order. All rise. Your Honor, this is number 71 on the calendar in the matter of LeBeouf versus Corlett.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome. Judges, parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Have a seat, sir.
You know the defendant. You had a birthday party. You say he broke your door, the door to your house. Tell me about it.
I had a birthday party, a dual fiesta party. It was.
What is that? What's a dual fiesta party?
Meaning two people threw it. My friend and I threw it.
For yourselves?
Yes, for ourselves. It wasn't just a regular party. We rented a tent. We had a band. We had an open bar, food. Chris was one of the guests. He came. He brought his brother Matt, which is the witness, and his younger brother, and his younger brother's friend. The whole party went on throughout the night. I guess one of the younger brother's friends got in a fight with another person at the party. Matt ended up coming over to break up the fight. Matt ended up getting knocked out. Chris came running over, saw Matt knocked out, turned to me and said, "Call 911." And I looked over at Matt. I did not see him in the shape of 911 emergency. And I said,
What do
"No."
you mean you didn't see him in the shape of 911 emergency?
He was getting up. He was standing up.
But he had been knocked to the ground?
I believe so.
What do you mean you believe so? If he was getting up, he had to be on the ground.
Well, yeah, he was getting up off the ground.
Right. So his brother came over and said, "Call 911."
Mm-hmm.
Because someone had just assaulted his younger brother.
Yes.
And what did you do?
I said, "Why don't you take him to the hospital that's about a mile down the street?" Chris ignored me, went over to my front door, kicked down my front door, went in, called 911, came back out, grabbed his brother's friends, whom, by the way, were underage, the people that he brought to the party, and was allowing them to drink.
No, you were allowing them to drink. If it was
Well, I
in
didn't
your
know who
house.
they were. Chris brought them. They were actually uninvited guests.
Then you should have told them to leave.
I didn't know. There was a lot of people at the party. Chris ended up leaving the party before 911 had got there. 911 arrived. I had to explain to 911 why there was no victim on the scene. They were telling me they were going to charge me and they would let it go this time. Chris came over the next day with Matt to pick up a friend of theirs that spent the night and still had not gone to the hospital. Matt was saying, "Oh, you know, I'm hurt and all this stuff." It still had not gone to the hospital. So to go on with the story, so then I said to Chris agreed, you know, that he kicked down the door and that he would fix it.
Why was the door locked?
Because we had people going around to the side door because we had carpeting. We had people going through where there was linoleum.
Okay,
So,
even if
and
they
Chris-
had to use any of the parts of the house, like the bathroom, they went go around the side of the house.
We had signs saying bathroom this way.
So, is how she related the story pretty much the way it happened?
Well, it's colorful, but it's highly inaccurate.
I'm here to listen.
Boy, I don't know where to begin. I saw my
Don't
brother...
begin at the flood. Just begin at the time you saw your brother assaulted.
I saw my brother assaulted out of the corner of my eye, and he was hit in the head with the gentleman's fist, and then kicked in the head.
You mean when he was down?
When he was down, he was kicked in the head. In fact, he had a CAT scan. I mean, he was unconscious for what I considered a long period of time.
Even a minute is a lot.
I ran over to him. Miss LeBeouf, like she said, was there. I did ask her to call 911. She said, "Just give him a minute, he'll be fine." And he was unconscious, completely unconscious. I asked her again to call 911. She would do nothing, so I ran to the front door, which was the closest door to where the incident took place, and it was locked. And I kicked the door in, and I dialed 911. And I have a police report here that documents exactly what I did.
Why didn't you wait for the police, sir?
When I came back to my brother, Missy was still there. He slowly regained consciousness, and I asked him, I said, "Matt, what can I do for you?" I mean, I've never been so scared in my life. I mean, And he said, just get me out of here, just get me out of here. We didn't know who this guy was. We'd never met him. We'd never even seen him. We didn't know if he had 10 friends there.
You're Matt.
Yes.
Step up, sir. How did this incident begin?
Well, after I was assaulted, I really, don't have much recollection of what happened. But okay,
before.
I was talking to one of my friends who was also a guest at the party, and like Missy said, there had been an altercation earlier in the night with this young man that was at the party, and I remember that they had exchanged words, and there was a fight about ready to be broken out. So I turned around with actually like this, because I was talking to another young lady, and I said, excuse me, and I said, you know what, we don't want to fight. I said, we're here for a birthday party. No one wants to fight, I turned my head, and the next thing I knew he hit me right in the head. I fell to the ground, shaking like this. I tried to get up like this, and I turned my head, and he booted me right in the face, and out I went. And after that, that's really what happened.
Since February 28th, there's been a Class 1 felony assault with a deadly weapon out for this gentleman's arrest.
What they're forgetting to tell you also is Chris was allegedly trying to blackmail me to find out this person's name for him, or else he said he wouldn't fix my door.
It would seem to me that since this incident occurred in your home and one of your invited guests was assaulted, you would want to be as cooperative as possible and find out the name of the person.
Yeah.
Why did it require this kind of blackmail in order to get you to get out there and get this name for them?
It didn't require anything. They were making a mountain out of a molehill out of this whole situation.
That's not a mountain out of a molehill, madam.
He could have been killed.
I want to explain something to you. If somebody had come up to you, just you, at your birthday party, punched you in the face, and then kicked you in the head, I guarantee you wouldn't be standing there saying to me, he's making a mountain out of a molehill.
Your Honor,
Shut!
Oh, I'm sorry.
Listen, when it looks as if you're winning, you're supposed to shut up.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
The whole thing is they were drinking all night long. It was 2:30 in the morning, and they really didn't know what they were doing.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Chris Corlett says that he had no choice but to kick Missy LaBeouf's door down at Missy's party.
Miss LaBeouf, I have a couple of questions for you. My sense is that I'm not getting a full story from you with regard to his condition at the time he asked you to call 911. Because common sense would tell me that you were having a birthday party, and the prospect of having the police arrive because of an emergency was not something that you relished. So I doubt whether he was as in good shape as you suggest he was when this young man asked you to call 911.
No, that had nothing to do with it. The party, it was 2:30 already. The party had been going all night long. I cared more about my friend. I've known Matt since 8th grade. I went to homecoming with him my freshman year.
So why didn't you just go inside and call 911?
I would have, but Chris was completely irate and drunk and overreacting. If Chris said, Missy, go in and call 911, and I looked over and I saw Matt in a completely knocked out condition, I would have. Matt was getting up. First of all, you can ask my witness.
He said that he was punched in the face and kicked in the head, and he has no recollection of anything after that.
Then why did Matt go to the hospital that night is what I want to know.
When did you go to the hospital, sir?
I went to the hospital the next morning, right after I left Missy's house. First I went to the hospital, and then I went over to the sheriff's station, and I filed a report. And my doctor in urgent care in Glendale said that I was very, very lucky to be alive.
Don't tell me what your doctor said.
I'm just.
But that's when you went to the doctor the next day. Ms. LaBeouf, don't you believe you have any responsibility towards his injuries?
No, because I don't feel that I started the fight.
The fight, it took place in your home. It took place in your home.
You know who started the fight? The minors that they brought to the party.
When you have a party in your home, you almost act as an insurer for the guests. You understand that?
Yes.
Well, you know, I assume that you haven't sued Miss LaBeouf for the injuries that you sustained.
Not yet, Your Honor.
Well, how do you feel about this door?
As Missy said, initially I felt badly about the door. We have been friends for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Then, as I had time to think about it, I thought, why am I fixing this door? I would have done the same for you or her or anyone else. And if it had been Missy who had been laying in the bushes and I'd kicked the front door in to call 911, there's no way she would have sued me. If I'd been at someone else's house and I had no choice to do it, and if I had it to do over again, I'd do it 100 times. I'd kick 10 doors in. That's what I had to do. Ethically and morally, if not legally, I felt I was obligated to do it. And if that's wrong, I don't want to be right.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You know, when someone has head trauma, you don't know how serious it is. And he was knocked completely unconscious.
And later today,
That's not my problem. That's your problem. I went to where I was supposed to go.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Chris Corlett says that he had no choice but to kick Missy LaBeouf's door down at Missy's party.
This young man is going to have a coronary unless he comes up and tells me what he has to say. I see him out of the corner of my eye. I assume you have something germane to say to me, sir. Do you?
Sure.
Sure. You better be.
Well,
Your name first.
My name's Ed.
Ed what?
Witness. Ed Marchand. After Matt was assaulted, he was laying on the ground and he was attempting to get up. And Chris, being an older brother, was concerned, and rightfully so. And I was right there with him when he called 911. I was going to go and assist him to do that. I almost went to grab him, and I almost was struck in the face when he went to kick the door with the back of his foot. It was right there, and I couldn't believe it. He actually managed to kick the door down in one kick.
Did you witness this assault, sir?
I didn't actually see him getting struck in the head, but I was less than 10, 15 feet away.
But you saw him on the ground.
I saw him on the ground.
And you saw his brother upset.
Yes.
And you heard his brother, defendant, ask Miss LaBeouf to call 911.
Yes.
And she did not go.
She did not go. I offered to
She
help.
did not go.
She did not go.
He was standing with his brother.
Mm-hmm.
And he asked the host of the party to please go and call the police because his brother had just been assaulted, correct?
Right.
The host did not call, correct?
Correct.
This case is dismissed. Thank you.
All right, sir, excuse me. They step out.
No.
I'll back door to your right, please.
He made hostile phone calls. He was rude. He was mean.
Well, I never made any phone calls. You guys called me.
Yeah. With Chris, no. I've never really had any respect for him, and everybody in our town doesn't anymore because of this case.
Party's on Westlock versus Gimbalane. Step forward, please.
21-year-old Andrew Westlock put bail up for his friend DeEtte Gimberlin in St. Paul, Minnesota. Now he's suing her because she didn't show up at the court and he lost the money.
All right, you're tooling down the road in New Mexico with some friends in a car, correct?
No, Marshall, Minnesota.
Marshall, Minnesota. How did I get that wrong? Let's see your papers. Well, okay. Marshall, Minnesota. And you get pulled over for speeding. Neither one of you were driving, correct? You're passengers in the car.
Yep.
Policeman tells you all to step outside, takes identification from everybody, and you had an outstanding warrant.
Yes.
For what?
Theft by check. That's what they told me, which was the first I ever heard of it.
I doubt that.
No, seriously. If I had a warrant, then they would have came and picked me up a long time ago.
There's a warrant outstanding for your arrest.
Right.
You were a nice guy. What did you do?
Well, she got taken to jail, and then the next morning I signed for her to get out of jail on a bail bonds.
And did you have to put up any money?
Well, she had the money. She gave it to me before she went. She
Can't
paid.
get two people.
She gave me the $130-some that I had to pay to get her out the next day.
Okay, so you went to the bail bondsman,
Correct.
gave the bail bondsman $130.
Correct.
She got out of jail.
Correct.
And she was given a date to appear in court.
Correct.
Right? And what was the date you were supposed to appear on the warrant, madam?
Well, he's just telling me this morning that I had to appear in Marshall, Minnesota. But why would I appear in Marshall, Minnesota? My theft by check had nothing to do with Marshall, Minnesota. So they gave me a court date in Minnesota, which was in Minnetonka, where my court date was, and that's what I did. I went to the court date they gave me, which is right here on this piece of paper, if you'd like to show her. And that was my first appearance. So I went to court like they asked me, okay?
Okay, so you're saying you went to court.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you tell me what happened to you, because you're here
I got a nice little nifty note saying that the defendant, Diet, did not show up, and we were supposed to appear July 18th, 1996 in Ramsey County Court to deal with this bail issue. I don't know what about her
because
issues.
Because the bail bondsman said...
He wants his money.
He wants his money because she didn't appear where she was supposed to, even though she may have misunderstood where she was supposed to appear. Anyway, you got stuck with how much money?
$1,193.06.
Tell me how that happened. You went to court?
Yeah, and I didn't have enough money to pay the bail bondsman up front, so we decided on a little...
No, tell me what happened when you went to court. I'm really curious. You went to court and said what?
Well, all I could say is I have to pay it because she never showed up. That's all I could do.
No, just a second. Did you try to contact her when you were notified that she didn't appear on this case that she had, and you were going to be stuck for this $1,193.06? Cents?
I asked her if she'd pay me, and she said she would, and I ain't seen a dime.
Can I say something now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, he never contacted me.
Mary.
His mother contacted me and called me all kinds of foul names, saying she was going to sue me and everything, so she should be here.
Miss Kimberline, you're given a court date. You think that if you don't appear on that court date, they send you a second invite? The answer to that is yes or no. They don't send you a second invite.
They didn't send me a first invite.
They don't have to send you a first
invitation. Then how do
invitation.
I know to go?
Because you're given the date when you are released.
Right, and it was for Ridgedale Court, not Ramsey County Court.
Good. The court made a mistake. Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
The court made a mistake.
Yes.
Why should he have to deal with that?
He should be calling, like I said, why can't we call and get this cleared up? I went to court the date they gave me when I was...
No, you have to get it cleared up.
Listen, ma'am. Ma'am, listen. The date they gave me, if you give me back that piece of paper, I'll tell you the date that they gave me when I was released in Marshall, Minnesota. I only received one date. It's on that paper, and I went to the court.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He's an innocent bystander to this whole problem. He got stuck with this bill. If it was a mistake, it's a mistake that you, not him, have to deal with. Why should he have to go back to court and spend time and effort? There was no warrant outstanding for his arrest.
Right, and I agree with that. I agree with that, but if I wouldn't have been called and call all kinds of filthy names while they're trying to make me call and find out what the problem was, I would have did it no problem. But his mother called day after day, was very rude and cursed me out, called me filthy names. No, I'm not going to do nothing for her.
Well, Miss Kimberlane, let me ask you this question. The first time his mother called you, did you say, oh, listen to me? Did you say, oh, I'm really sorry, there was really a mistake. I was supposed to be there. I will immediately, first thing tomorrow, get on the stick and go and find out what happened because you surely shouldn't be out this money? Or did you say something like this? That's not my problem, that's your problem. I went to where I was supposed to go. What did you say to his mother when she called?
I asked the lady, well, what do you mean, why didn't I go to court? I said, I did go to court. She said, well, you didn't go to court on the 18th. I said, well, I don't have a court date for the 18th. And that's as far as it got. Then she got nasty, I got nasty.
Just a second. Just a second. Did you say to her, well, there must be some sort of a problem, and I will take care of it because your son certainly shouldn't be out this money. He wasn't at fault. The court may have been at fault. Maybe I was at fault. I will certainly take care of it. Did you say that?
No, I didn't say that.
Well, that's what you should have said, so I can understand it if his mother got really annoyed. Because this young man is a very mild-mannered young man. I'm surprised he's not here hooting and hollering. I mean, he went to court and he said, they said to him, you owe $1,100. And he said, okay, where do I pay? Give me a break. Give me a break. Listen to me. You get into high gear, take a couple of vitamins, get down to the court and try to work this out because it's going to cost you $1,193.06. That's what you owe him. And then you take care of your problem with the court because it's not his problem, it's yours. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,193.06. Thank you.
All right, as I excuse, you may step out.
And on the next Judge Judy.
If they would have said that, I would have went. But they never, ever told me. Even the guy, we sat there and BS with us in that hotel room. If I was supposed to go back to court all the way to Marshall, Minnesota, then he should have told me that then while he was up in there trying to smoke up my cigarettes and be my friend. you know? So forget it. It's done and over with. Fine.
hear you.
Party's on Davis versus McDowell. Step forward, please.
Marilyn Davis is suing 21-year-old Maria McDowell, the ex-girlfriend of her daughter's new boyfriend. Marilyn claims Maria keyed her daughter's '66 Mustang.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 97 on the calendar in the matter of Davis versus McDowell. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Have a seat, please.
Mrs. Davis, you have a daughter.
Yes.
Who has a boyfriend.
Yes.
Where's your daughter?
Right here.
Your name?
Alyssa.
Where's the boyfriend?
Steve.
You say that this young lady, who is the ex-girlfriend of Steve,
Yes.
keyed your car.
It's
Tell me-
registered in my name. It's her car. It's her car, but it's registered in my name.
Well, it's your,
Yeah.
then you're the owner of the car, and you want her to pay for the damage for keying the car. Well, did you see her key the car?
No. She was seen.
Who did?
No one saw her do it.
That's a problem.
Right. They saw her go.
Well, don't tell me what somebody else saw. You have witnesses that
Yes.
saw? I'd like to hear the witnesses. First, tell me who you are.
Oh, my name's Crystal.
Crystal what?
Crystal Gibbons.
All right, Miss Gibbons. What did you see and when?
It was March. It was late March, and we were at our friend Devin's house. And there's several of us over there, and I was standing near the balcony, but like right in front of the door, not on the balcony, but right outside of it. And I looked down, like outside, and I saw her out there. And then she like stood there, like looking in. It looked like seeing who was in there and stuff. And then she turned like and started walking this way to the right. And then like I was watching her walk, and I could see her turn this way, like Alyssa's car, or her car, was parked in the visitor's parking lot, which was in the direction where she was going, like right behind the apartment, which is, it looked like is where she was going.
Does Miss McDowell live in that apartment complex?
I'm pretty sure, yeah. I don't know.
Do you?
Yes,
for
I
sure,
do. And I could tell you where I was going after I left there.
Where were you
Okay,
going?
after I came from my apartment, I went to the dumpster to take some trash out, and I heard people talking and laughing. It sounded like they were arguing, but like having like a discussion, like I don't know what they were talking about. And I was like, who's up there? So I went and I looked, and I saw that they had saw me, so I went back to my apartment. I was getting my stuff to go to my boyfriend's house. The second time that I had went over there, I went to, I don't know, I don't remember even if I went back over to buy my car. I didn't go anywhere behind her car was probably behind my
please,
building.
it's getting much too complicated. You
But
didn't
I
see
did
her.
not go behind the building. I went
You
back to
didn't
my
see her
apartment.
key the car.
No, but I started going to the direction of the car right
But there
before
were
we
there are other things in that direction.
Yeah, there are, I'm sure, but...
And she lives in that development.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
You have any other witnesses, Miss Davis?
Yes. Me.
My name is Corinne Herrera, and about a week after Alyssa and Steve got involved.
Alyssa and Steve?
Yes, these two. Maria called me on the phone and
Who
was
called you?
Maria.
That's you.
Yeah. And was asking questions, and one of the questions she asked me was what type of car Alyssa drove. And I told her I couldn't tell her that because that's my friend.
I wanted to know what type of car, so because I seen cars parked in front of her house or his house, and I want to know if it was hers, because to see if she was there, because he was still, you know, kind of involved with me. That is why.
How long were you dating him?
3 years.
Sit down. You want to say something?
Please. My name is Steve Gonzalez. We had already been separated for about 3 months prior before I met her, and like, so I don't understand what she's saying. We were still involved. We
Well,
weren't still
I had
involved.
broke up with him right before Christmas time, and he had been trying to get back. He kept, you know, bugging me to get
At
back
first,
together.
yes, and then she.
And then finally, like, I was like, okay, you know, I want to, you know, we'll work it out. And he was like, okay. I said, well, you know, I don't want you getting girls' phone numbers, and I won't. And then, you know, at that time, he had already gotten her phone number, and I found his or her number on his pager, and I called it. That's how I found out, you know. And then I was talking to her. We were friendly at first until one day I went to his house for him to see the baby, and I didn't want.
What baby?
My baby, our baby. I wanted her to.
You have a baby with him?
Yeah. I had to.
No,
you know,
that's
I was
true.
not about to.
What's not true?
What she's saying, we were still kind of involved. We had
weren't really
kind of involved. You have a child together.
Yeah, but not.
That's not like having
not
a
in a
pool
relationship.
together, sir.
Not in a relationship.
And
not in a relationship.
And so I was
Gonzalez,
asking. I
Miss
asked her.
Davis.
What? And I asked her, please, you know, could you please, you know, go home so he can. I will leave the baby here so he can see him, but I won't leave him here if you were here. No, Melissa, don't leave. Don't listen to her. And so I was like, whatever. So then that was the
Just
first.
a second. I'm not interested in this nonsense. It's nonsense. How old are you?
I'm 21. I'll be 22 in a couple
And how
months.
old is this baby?
He's
that you
3
have?
years.
He's 3 years old. Do you live alone?
Yes, I live with me and the baby, and I've been paying for us for the past 2 years by myself. I mean,
Just a second. Just a second. Do you work?
Yes, I do. I work fast food to raise my son. He's too good for that.
Just a second. Just a second. You work?
Yes, I do.
Is that how you support yourself and your
Yes.
child?
And I have some help from the state.
Okay. Now, what do you do?
I'm unemployed at the moment.
Just a second. Stop. I didn't ask you another question. I said, what do you do? Right now, you say you're unemployed. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
When was the last time you were employed?
April, I think, of '97 or March of '97, I became unemployed. And we
What
were
kind of work had you been doing?
I was working for a grocery store, meat department, a meat clerk, and I was. She's lying.
And you were paying child support?
We were living together, and I was paying for everything.
So you were really living together up until recently?
No, it took since about like 7 or 8 months, almost. It's been like 7 months.
A lifetime.
No, but that's a long time, and she's lying.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
I don't care if you pick up papers from the street. I don't care if you pick up cans and cash them in for a nickel apiece. There is a way that you can make money.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 17-year-old Alyssa Davis says her boyfriend's ex, Maria McDowell, keyed her '66 Mustang.
How old are you?
22.
Who do you live with?
My father.
How much child support were you paying?
I was paying for half the rent and bills.
No, after you left, when you were not living together anymore.
I was still paying, no. I still gave her money up till the point before I became unemployed.
How much money, sir?
It was probably...
$10.
Up!
Sorry.
How much money what?
How much money were you giving her every week?
$10.
I was giving her, what I was giving her was half of the rent.
Just a second. I'm not talking about when you were living together. I'm talking about after you were no longer living together. And she went out on her own.
I can't say exactly how much.
Why haven't you been working?
Because I have no vehicle to go to work. That's why I lost my job. My work cut my hours, and I was working in another city from where we live.
So what do you do all day?
Looking for a job.
How are you looking for a job if you have no vehicle?
I have an interview this Thursday.
How do you look for a job without a vehicle?
I call, or I use my father's vehicle.
What does your father do?
He's a machinist.
Sit down. How old is your daughter?
17.
She go to school?
She just graduated.
And what is she doing now?
She's working.
Step up here. Who are you working for?
Baskin Robbins.
Mm-hmm. Is that what you want to do, work for Baskin & Robbins?
No, I'm just saving money.
For
and
what?
I'll look for a better job, and then I'm plan to go to college.
Well, that's good. Did you graduate well from high school?
Yeah.
Academically well?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But
is your last name Davis?
Yeah.
Miss Davis? Don't hit your dreams to a falling star, madam. Your mother understands what that means. Look, Miss Davis, you have no proof that Miss McDowell scratched her car. You surmise that she scratched her car. You think that she may have had a motive to scratch your car. And if I asked her whether she scratched her car, she would tell me...
No, I did not.
Right. She would tell me that she did not.
She has been harassing us
Yeah, I
since
want to
March.
say something. Ever since I met him, she calls my house at least 5 times a day. She calls my work. She comes to my work.
5 times a day.
At least 5 times a day. She tells me, watch your back, you know, leave him alone.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. I've never
I
threatened
have his dad that said he would come and say how she threatened me.
His dad isn't here.
She has sprayed my mom with mace with her kid in her arms. She says all kinds of stuff to tell me, watch your back. You know, she told me specifically, I will never leave you alone as long as you're with him. He saw her walk in the direction of my car too. He saw her walk away, and
Don't
she
tell
saw
me
him
what
walk away.
So what? That's not enough?
She told me that she had no reason in the world to go in that direction at all, that she didn't go in that direction.
You cannot convict somebody of doing damage to property because they were walking in a particular direction, especially when she lives in that apartment
There is
complex.
nothing over there.
It doesn't make any
My
difference.
apartment.
Shh, just a second, Miss Davis, it doesn't make any difference. She lives there. If she did not live in the complex where you all live, I would suggest that maybe there was some evidence that she looked in the window, she drove to the location, she looked in the window. There was no other reason for her being in that apartment development. What are they, townhouses or high-rise? What are they?
Just
2-story apartment.
2-story apartments, but she lives there.
And no one here lives here. That was my apartment complex. They were at a friend's house. And
so they don't live there, but they were visiting a
visiting,
friend's house in your apartment
Yeah.
complex. So, Ms. Davis, you're not going to be able to prove your case before me that she vandalized the property. It's all a very unfortunate circumstance. You know what the saddest thing about this is?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I mean, he's with a 17-year-old that he just went to her prom. He's 22. He needs to grow up.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Marilyn Davis is suing 21-year-old Maria McDowell, the ex-girlfriend of her daughter's new boyfriend.
You know what the saddest thing about this is?
The child.
The son, which, can I tell you this? She will not let him see him because of me. She won't let him be around him. She has to know that I will be at work. Can I talk, please?
Just a second.
She will not let him see him. Before she let him see him about a week ago, he hadn't seen him in a month.
Just a second. Just a second. He has plenty of time.
She won't.
And just a second. Hey, he has plenty of time. He's not working. He's very big and he's very strong. And if he wanted to see his child, all he's got to do is get on his legs and go down to the local domestic relations court and file a petition for visitation. Then they're going to say to him, with the same legs that you got here to file your petition for visitation, get a job. And then support this child so that the people of this state don't have to contribute to the support for your child. And then we'll talk about visitation. So I don't want to hear about visitation for somebody who can't or won't pay a penny for support because they don't have a car. How is he supposed to get the baby for visitation if he has no car? Yeah, you want to tell me that?
Yeah, yes, please.
Sure. Just tell me, how are you supposed to get the baby for visitation? That's what I want you to answer.
I've been down to the child support division office.
Yes.
All my evidence of all my return checks of evidence that for all the child support that I've paid for the 2 years that we were living together, she stole and burnt. I have no evidence. They say I owe $8,000 back support. So we're going to the Bank of America to get the return checks right now to go do through all that.
You talk very fast. You think that you can talk faster than me? You think that you can talk faster than me? You think that you're smarter than I am?
I don't.
I know exactly what's going on. I've been in the family court for 25 years. I know exactly what's going on. You lived together for a long time, right? When you lived together, she was on welfare. Is that right? Right. Yeah. Right. And welfare, in all probability, did not know that the two of you were living together. Is that right? Am I right?
Yes.
Of course I'm right. So, don't give me a lot of baloney. I know everything. What I'm talking about is now that you've separated, she's got a job. She also gets welfare. You, sir, on the other hand, don't have a job.
At the moment.
Get one.
I am.
And then, when you walk into court, you'll say, I got a job. I want to pay support for my child. I want to visit with my child. And I guarantee you, any court will say a father should have as much visitation with his child, if he's not the child's custodial parent, as is possible, because that's good for the child. But as long as you, sir, at your age, are acting irresponsibly, which is not to have a job, I don't care if you pick up papers from the street. I don't care if you pick up cans and cash them in for a nickel apiece. There is a way that you can make money. Bag groceries, dry cars. You can earn enough money to send her $10 or $15 a week. Whether you like her, whether you don't like her, I don't care. Doing that. But you haven't done it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He is a better dad than you are. You haven't given me a dime.
You don't even let me see him. You don't even let me see him regardless.
Where's the money that you can get
Where's
him
my son?
nice
Let me
stuff?
see my son and I'll give you some money.
Listen, I want to tell you something. Everybody can find a job.
I know.
It depends upon whether you set your sights here or here. Now, if you're 22 years old and you're living with your father and you have no expenses and you want to set your sights up here for a job, that's fine. If, on the other hand, you're 22 years old and when you were 19 years old you made a baby that I'm paying for and you're paying for, then you set your sights down here and you work at whatever kind of job comes along, raking leaves, digging ditches, whatever it takes to earn a buck to support a baby that you make so that you don't have to support that baby.
And I'm paying her to harass me.
Just a second. Why don't you point your finger over there, madam? I don't think you're using your brain.
Because
you want to know
she's harassing
you want to know why you're not using your brain? Your problem long term is not going to come from this side of the bench. Your problem long term is going to come from this side. This case is dismissed.
I wish.
That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Boy. And he said he...
And on the next Judge Judy.
You don't know me.
Saying
okay,
she
so
didn't.
just like,
I do know you. You've maced me, remember?
I maced you because you wouldn't get the hell out of my house.
We were leaving your house.
You were not leaving my house.
I have assault charges against her.
Are you getting her? Watch my
She calls our house all the time. She goes to my daughter's work.
What are you going to do?
I didn't say I'm going to do
her car. She goes to friends' houses.
You call my house every single day and hate
When was the last time I called? I swear on my son's life, I have not called her. I called her house this morning and hung up. Is that? No, I don't think so. I don't.
Police will find out.
Well, you know what? You can get all your phone, whatever. I did not call your house. Oh, you know, you have your little boyfriend dye his hair like yours.
You're the one. You want him back? You cry to me. Let me have my boyfriend back.
Why did I make her? Because she was in my doorway. She wouldn't get out. You know what? She did not need to come to my house. She was threatening me. Okay.
Why were they? No, no one was threatening you. You called my house.
She would not get out. I had to call the police to get her out of my house.
My mom went over there to tell her to leave us alone. You're psycho. You go to my work. Don't say you don't go to my work.
When was the last time?
You called my work. You called my house.
Maybe 3 days after you guys met, I went to your work.
Oh,
I had
Maria, you called my house for like 3 months.
Oh, you are a lying. Oh, you
I heard a noise.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. I swear. I don't know.
When you swear, it doesn't mean anything.
I don't know when the last time
I went to the eye doctor the next day. My eyes are still messed up.
I've gone on, and I have a better boyfriend that is very good to my son.
Then why do you page him? I love you till he changed his page number. Till he changed his page number. Did you text him? I love you.
I thought you said
do I told you to give it to him.
No, do I have
You did until he changed it. I'm saying you did until he changed it.
You said you weren't with your boyfriend no more.
I have his page
the other day when we
No,
talked.
you were having
into their hands.
You said you didn't want to be with me.
No, I did not say I didn't want to. He did not want to be with me.
Well, I just want the whole world to see what a mental case looks like.
I didn't want to tell you that because you know what? He is a better dad than you are. You haven't given me a dime.
You don't even let me see him. You don't even let me see him regardless.
Where's the money that you can get
Where's
him
my son?
nice
Let me see
stuff?
my son and I'll give you some
No,
money.
he hasn't had anything nice, okay? I don't think so. I can work fast food to raise my son, but you can't? You know what? I am better than you, okay?
Party's on. Trombley versus Trombley. Step forward, please.
25-year-old Jennifer Trombley is suing her husband, Russell Trombley, claiming he physically abused her throughout their marriage. Mr. Trombley's countersuit alleges that his wife has a drug problem and has neglected their daughter.
Order. All rise. Judge, it's number 159 on the calendar in the matter of Trombley versus Trombley. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
You two folks are married, in the process of getting a divorce. You've been married for 2 years. You have a 2-year-old child. Mrs. Trombley, I have your complaint. You are seeking $5,000 from your husband for emotional stress.
Yes, I am.
Well, I'd like you to tell me about it. You have a countersuit. I'll hear that in a minute. Go ahead.
Well, I'm really suing because he broke into my best friend's house.
This has nothing to do with your best friend's house. There's nothing in here in the complaint about
Well, he
your
broke
best
in there
friend's
and
house.
attacked me.
Well, let
That's
me hear
what
about
brought
it.
this complaint.
Let me hear about it. The attacking you is something else. Let me hear about the attacking you.
Once he entered the house,
Yeah.
He ran through the house and threw me against the wall and kicked me and then left with our daughter screaming in the living room.
What had precipitated this?
I hadn't come home the night before because
Why not?
Because I was afraid of getting hit. And when I did come home in the morning, he raised his hand to me, and if he hadn't seen my friend, he would have hit me.
That's untrue. There was no threat of violence of her coming home at any point ever. She was with her friend partying late into the night.
He says you do drugs, Mrs. Trombley, and that you depleted the bank account of your family, took checks out, forged checks, ran up bills, forced them into bankruptcy, all because you were doing drugs and staying out, and partying with your friends, etc. Any of that true?
Some of it's true.
What's true?
I do have a past history of drug abuse.
We're not talking about past. We're talking about current.
No, I don't.
What makes you think she has a drug problem?
Oh, I have all kinds of ample evidence to prove that she has a drug problem. Just as of July 18th, I got a call from Burbank Police Department who had just arrested a drug dealer, stating that he had my calling card. I have here 12 pages of the calls that this man made with my calling card. Who is
this man?
This man's name is nicknamed Morbid.
You know that person?
Yes, I do.
Well, what does he do for a living?
He deals drugs, right, Jen? He deals drugs.
What does he do for a living?
He doesn't really do much for a living.
He deals drugs. And this is Jen's main drug dealer. This is a man that she went to Mexico with.
While you were married?
What? Last month.
Is that right?
Yes.
Terrific.
My wife disappeared for 3 days on the premise that she was going to look for jobs. At 2 p.m., with no hassle, no fighting, we had made love in the morning. At 2 p.m., she said, I'm on my way to go put some applications in. I did not see my wife for 3 days, at which she had taken both sets of our car keys and left me in the care of our daughter. I have a full-time job. I had to take 3 days off from work. On the third day, risking financial ruin and losing my job, I had to take my 2-year-old daughter to work with me. No calls from my wife.
Does that sound familiar to you, Miss Trombley?
Yes, that's all true. And it was all because I was afraid to come home because he was hitting me.
Afraid to come home, so she takes a vacation with a drug dealer to Tijuana, Mexico.
Mr. Trombley,
Order.
Let me tell you this, sir. Let me tell you this. I read your answer to her complaint. Her complaint is nonsense. I don't know whether you hit her when you got into the house.
I'll explain to you exactly the events preceding that incident.
Your Honor, we have 2 separate police reports for domestic violence.
We have
and a
one
restraining order
police
that was
report.
put on against him.
Was there
for
ever a
my
trial
protection.
on that restraining order?
Yes, there was.
And what happened to it?
What happened to it?
Today, that case was settled and dropped, plead out.
What do you mean, settle, drop, plead out? What does that mean?
I pleaded no contest to 1 count of battery.
Does that have to do with this incident?
It has to do with the incident where I pushed my wife away from a front door for not taking our personal life into a hallway.
Was that at her friend's house? Just
Yes.
a second.
Yes.
This is the incident at the friend's house.
Yes, let me...
Let me.
Yes, ma'am.
and I'll ask you to fill in so that there is some semblance here. According to your answer, she had gone over to her friend Lori's house, right? And this was after she had disappeared for a few days.
No, no, that's...
She had already disappeared. There were periods of time, according to your answer, sir, that she had left you in care to care for your daughter.
Yes.
And you were afraid that when she went to Lori's house and didn't come home right away, that she was going to do it again.
Well, let me explain a little bit earlier in the evening. It was that very morning that I was late for work. My wife came home at 6:30, where I would have had to have left at 10 of 6 to make it to work. She knows this. We've had many, many fights about it. It's when she showed up with Lori, I did go like this in anger, not to hit her, but just as a show. I'm this angry. How could you do this to me again? That very night, when I came home from work, Lori and Jen and Aubrey were there in the house. They said, we're going to take Aubrey out and get some shoes. They left. They came back at, at 7:30 p.m. while I was watching TV. My daughter comes through the front door crying, but my wife did not come through the door. I opened up the front door, and my wife was at the bottom of the stairs and says to me, I'm going to the car for a minute. 5 minutes later, she didn't come back from the car, and the car was gone. It's at that time that I assumed she probably went back over to Lori's. I drove over there with my daughter, and that's where she was.
Well,
I found that that was kind of peculiar.
You weren't screaming your head off.
I wasn't screaming at anything.
Mr. Trombley.
Yes. May I continue?
No. Because while I can smell a drug problem from at least 15 feet away, and she has a drug problem.
Yes, that's true.
Based upon my assessment of her demeanor and based upon the things that she has said to me so far, I have some trouble with your response. And let me tell you why, sir.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I'm just a hard-working guy. I have no record. I've never been expelled from school. I'm nothing but a decent guy that was raised the right way.
And later today,
you came in with your girlfriend, Christina, who now lives with you.
Well, I'm going to have him live with me?
Who is your lover? Admit it, okay?
Okay.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Russell Trombley denies his wife Jennifer's allegations of abuse and claims she's guilty of neglecting their daughter.
You have a 2-year-old daughter. You say you know your wife has a current drug problem.
Yes.
If your wife has a current drug problem, I don't care what you have to do, you make sure that your wife is never left in charge of your child. You didn't do that. What you wanted her to do was to be around to take care of your daughter. Just a second. And I don't care if you have to get a babysitter. I don't care if you have to quit your job. I don't care what you have to do. You do not leave a drug user in charge of a 2-year-old baby, and I don't care if the drug user is your wife. Number one. You understand that?
Yes, I do.
Number two. According to your answer, sir, you went over to the house, to this Lori's house, because you didn't want to be in the position again of having to look for somebody to take care of your daughter when you had to go to work the next morning and you had an early morning call. Is that right?
Yes. We've exhausted all of our daycare issues. My wife left our daycare with a $300 bill that we owed them.
Sir.
We had no one else. We have no relatives here.
So let me tell you this. There are many people, unfortunately, in your position whose mate, whether it be a husband or a wife, has a drug addiction problem. You're supposed to try to be supportive of each other if you can, but at that point, there is only one innocent. And that innocent is a child, especially a 2-year-old child that cannot protect herself. So at that point, you can't worry about her anymore. She's got a drug problem and hangs around with Mork or whatever his name is, Dork. Those are the kind of people that you hang around with if you got a drug problem.
That's all she hangs out with.
Drug dealers.
All drug dealers. That's everybody she knows.
Well, then, sir, if you allow your daughter to hang around with her and to hang around with drug dealers, then you are as guilty of neglect as she is. Do you understand me? In my eyes.
With all due respect, Judge, these are events that have only come to my knowledge within the last couple of months. All of these things have been hidden and lied about.
Sir, during that time, during that couple of month period, you still left your daughter in your wife's care.
But I was only doing that on the premise that she was over at her friend's house. I didn't know that there was drugs involved at that night.
You can't have it both ways. We understand each other. You cannot have it both ways.
There was not at any point that I felt my daughter was in danger from my wife.
I'm telling you that it's not true. What I'm telling you is, if you are mated to a drug user who cavorts with other drug users and abusers and dealers, you are a neglectful parent if you leave a 2-year-old child with her.
I was doing everything I could.
All right.
ma'am.
So, let me get to your cross complaint, because I'm going to take care of this nonsense right away. You say that she spent a lot of your family money?
She spent all of our money.
Good. That's what happens. It's a very good idea for you to get out of this marriage, to take charge of your daughter, and to start building a life with her, if that's what you think that you can do. Do you understand?
Yeah, that's everything I'm seeking and aiming for. But
very good.
These are the events that handle our lives every day, though. While I'm trying to litigate this, I am being forced to move out of California, forced to give up my dreams, forced to give up my career.
That's very sad. You made a mistake. That's what happens when people make a mistake.
I made a grand mistake, and
That's what happens when you make a mistake.
I understand that.
Good.
But understand, Judge, that I have pleaded and begged my wife to get drug counseling, to stop fraternizing with these people.
This case is dismissed. The counterclaim is dismissed. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Out the back door to your right.
I want to get as far away from this woman as I can. I believe she's nothing but pure evil and will not help herself. I don't think there's any saving her.
And now the next case.
Parties on Silvas versus Boga. Step forward.
70-year-old Frank Silvas is suing 33-year-old Christina Boger, a woman he says was his lover and bride-to-be. According to Frank, when their plans to move in together fell through, Christina kept his furniture. But Christina says she and Frank were never boyfriend and girlfriend, and the furniture was a gift.
Mr. Silvas, according to your papers, sir, you are a recent widower.
Yes, ma'am.
And you were married to your wife for 45 years?
No, 41.
41 years. Shortly after her death, you met the defendant.
Right, but 18 months after.
And she was selling some sort of electrical
Well, the
bed?
night before I met her, somebody called the house was to make an appointment to sell mattresses. And I told the gentleman, says, I'm not going to buy one. He said, well, we got a new sales person. He didn't tell me it was a male or a female, you know.
Cut to the chase.
Okay.
She came to sell you a new mattress.
Right.
And according to your complaint, sold you a lot more.
Right.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I slept over there about three or four different times. In fact, we went to Laughlin. First time we went to Laughlin.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 70-year-old Frank Silvas is suing 33-year-old Christina Boger because he claims she kept his furniture when their romance ended.
Over the course of several months...
Almost a year.
You gave her a lot of money.
Right.
According to your papers, gave her loans of over $30,000.
Right.
But you know that you can't get that here.
Right.
What you're suing for here is a return of your furniture.
Yes, ma'am.
So
yes,
tell me how she came to have your furniture in her possession.
Okay, when her roommate moved out, I was supposed to, move in, see? So, I says, well, we'll take my furniture up there to sell my house. Then she kept putting the dates off,
What dates?
That I was supposed to move in. But prior to that, Your Honor, she said she would marry me.
Did you ask her to marry you?
Yes, and she kept putting that off.
Okay. So you asked her to marry you. When did you ask her to marry you?
Before the first of the year, first time.
And what did she say?
She says, I don't know you that good, let's wait a while.
So what happened? The romance is clearly over.
Well, I got evidence right here that really turned me off. She came into my house, took two blank checks and forged them. One for $1,000, one for $350. Then she came back into the house and grabbed those two checks and burned them up. That's what she told me. She burned them. But I got copies from the bank. I got the police report on each one of them.
When do you say she did this?
I didn't find out about it till May, actually, Your Honor. when I got my bank statements.
How come he gave you this money?
Well,
I assume you're going to tell me he gave you the money.
Yes, he plays a victim well. He was always there to be very helpful to me, and was there to volunteer anytime I needed something. We started up a business together. This money that he's talking about that he lent to me was based on this business we started together, and any money that he gave me was to help me get this business up and going, and he was, in return, got a percentage of this business.
Just a second. Did he get anything in return?
Yes, when he was doing his job.
Just a minute. What did he get in return?
He got a percentage of the business, which was 10%.
How much does that translate to in cash?
About $600-700 in cash.
So he invested thousands and he got $600-700.
Let me explain something though. He stopped doing the business, and ultimately the business fell. It's not even in existence now because he wouldn't give me the information so I can continue to run this business. He kept it.
He gave you a lot of money, madam. I have checks here. A lot of money.
Okay.
A lot.
Your Honor, he's 69 years old. I'm 30. This man's got 45 years on me. He decides to give me money or do what he decides to do. You think he'd have... It's all been his choice. It's all been his choice from the beginning to do these things. Frank did everything...
Did you at any time discuss with him getting married?
No, he discussed it with me.
When for the first time?
He asked me to marry him so many times, I couldn't tell you. It was literally the first time 60 days after I knew him was the first time he asked me to marry him.
And what did you say to him?
I said, no, I don't know you well enough. And he's a heavy drinker, and I have a baby, and there's a big age difference. And I told him, I said, no, I think
a big age difference is 40 years. You know, a big age difference is 7 years, 8 years, 10 years. 40 years is a big age difference. Did you ever say to him, no, sir, you're too old and I'm not going to be involved with you romantically?
I never said he was too old. The age difference was a concern, but it was his drinking that was more of a concern to me.
But that didn't stop you from taking money from him.
For the business, we were business partners.
I'm not talking about the business. So far, the business he got a couple $100 from, if I believe you, and he put in thousands according to these checks. And it's not made out to a business. It's made out directly to you, and you cash the checks. It's not made out to a business account. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. But I'm telling you now, don't piddle on my leg and tell me it's raining, madam. I'm too smart for you. Do you understand? Do you understand? If you took money from him because he was prepared to give it to you and you were prepared to take it, that's one thing. He's not suing you for the money. Yet. So don't give me any baloney about business. Business checks, if they're made to a business, they're put in a business name. Your business, I assume, had a name. Right?
Mm-hmm.
What was the name of the business?
Well, we're Banks and Associates.
So if he was lending money to the business, it would have been business checks, not payable to you.
Okay, when I came to him and discussed certain things with him, he was there to help me. He said, whatever you need, I'm here to help you. I asked him what he wanted in return. He said, just to be close to you, to be your friend. And I said that was fine. He could write me a check, and I could do whatever I wanted with it if he chose to give it to me.
Right, so you used them. Now, let's talk about the furniture.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
I want to know if the following things are in your home, madam. Butcher block.
Pardon me?
Show this to her, please. Are those things in your home?
Yes, they are.
Good. Can I have it, please? Court will draft an order that within 3 days of today, all those items will be picked up and returned to Mr. Silvas. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
All of them. And they better be in the same condition that they were when he gave them to you. Do you understand that?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Thank you very much. That's all.
Thank you, sir. Excuse, you may step out.
And on the next Judge Judy.
Was
you
in my
used
driveway.
This guy, okay? He was in love with you, and you used him.
I used him, right?
Okay?
But he'll never tell
and you.
You guys.
Your lover move in.
You're right.
With you.
You know what? You're all right.
Whose
Just
bed
report.
are you sleeping in, Christina?
This has nothing. This
Okay.
doesn't. My God, you
That's
guys
all
are.
I wanna
You guys
say.
are petty.
I slept with her about three, 4 different times. In fact, we went to Laughlin. First time we went to Laughlin.
All parties on Duran versus O'Keene. Step forward, please.
24-year-old secretary Rebecca Duran claims 19-year-old chef Jesus Oljean didn't pay rent, threw a rock through her window, and attempted to rape her. Jesus says Rebecca falsely reported him to the police.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 174 on the calendar in the matter of Duran versus O'Keene. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat, please.
Ms. Duran, your complaint is a little confusing. Let me see if I understand it. You rented a room to the defendant in your house.
Correct.
And at that time, the defendant was going out with your niece.
Correct.
And then he stopped going out with your niece.
Correct.
And left your house shortly thereafter.
No, he started dating my sister.
And then he stopped dating your sister, or is he still dating your sister?
He's not dating my sister no more.
Is he dating any other of your relatives?
Not that I know of.
You say when he left your house, he owed you money for rent, he owes you money for damage that he did to your property, and he assaulted you.
Yes.
And this all happened when?
Started like March the 13th, from the 14th, all the way to the 22nd.
You mean he assaulted you that whole time?
Yes, with threatened letters. There was a contempt of rape.
Contempt of rape?
There's a police report stating here. He not only this happened to me, but all this happened in front of my 3 children that have been traumatized too.
Mm-hmm.
And at first I was not going to do anything about it, but he went the wrong way about it, suing me for something I didn't do.
Now we get you. So then, after he moved out, according to your answer, sir, she kept some of your property.
Yes.
So you sued her in small claims court?
Yes, I did.
And got a judgment against her for $3,500?
Yes, I did.
And it was after you got that judgment against her for $3,500 that she filed this lawsuit?
Yes, she did.
Is that time just about right, Mr. Rand?
Yes.
So let's start with the rent, which you say is about $300.
$325, yes.
How much were you paying her each month in rent?
$300.
$300?
Yes.
And what month did you move out?
Yeah, I moved out on the 15th of March.
Had you paid for March?
Yes.
He paid you for March, correct?
No.
He didn't pay you for March?
He wasn't working.
You have proof that you paid her for March?
No, I never got any receipts from her.
How many months did you live there, sir?
Since January, 1st of January.
Did he pay you in January?
Yes, he did.
Did he pay you in February?
Yes, he did.
He says he also paid you in March.
He didn't pay me March.
Are you sure?
Positive.
Mm-hmm. So why didn't you sue him for March?
I wasn't going to go after him. I just wanted to drop all this.
Right, until after he sued you. Then you decided to sue him.
Yes.
Okay. So now let's go to from the rent, let's go to the furniture that you say he destroyed. Let's hear about it.
Actually, here's pictures of it.
Don't show him. I'll look at it. I don't need an explanation. I can look at pictures. Thank you very much, Bird. Thank you. Tell me what you say he did to your furniture and your... I see a little door that's chipped. Come on, let me hear.
The carpet, it's burnt. I don't know what he dropped there.
How do you know he dropped anything there?
Because before he moved in, that carpet was cleaned.
Let me ask you this question, Mr. Rand. When you told him to move out, did you tell him that you were accusing him of damaging your property? Did you say that to him?
Yes, I did.
Did she say that to you?
No, she didn't.
Of course she didn't. Mr. Rand, I have a truth detector back here. If you lie to me, you're going to look very foolish. Do you understand?
I understand.
Good. Don't lie to me. First of all, it really irritates me because it makes me think that you think that I'm stupid.
I'm not
and
saying
she
you are.
ain't stupid.
I'm not saying you are.
So, Now let's get to this assault. You want to tell me, Ms. Duran, about this assault that you allege that he perpetrated on you?
Okay, when he moved out on the 14th or on the 13th, on the 14th, he didn't tell me he was leaving. I told him I'll be back later. I had locked all my CDs inside my room and my jewelry, some property, because I really didn't trust him at that time no more. Okay, when I came back, I didn't notice anything missing till the next day when I was getting at 6:30 in the morning when I was getting my baby ready to go to school, and I started looking for my CDs and jewelry, and I said, "Honey, did you take my stuff?" And he says, "No, I didn't." I said, "Well, I've been stolen. Jesse took my stuff." So and then I got the police involved. The police went and they took a police report. They took fingerprints, and they made a police report stating all the options that he had taken from my house.
No, they made a police report of all these objects that you say he took from your house.
And they found on him.
Okay. Let me see the police report, please.
This is where they found the stuff at.
What date did you move out, sir?
I believe it was on the 15th.
Of March?
Yes. I have documents from the courthouse, and the police department says that all those charges have been dropped, and that she recovered all her jewelry back.
I'm going to look at your papers in a minute. Your sister's name is?
Yes, correct.
You haven't talked to her for a while, right?
We just barely started talking.
She says you're a habitual liar.
Yeah. At that time, she was very upset with me.
She says you write bad checks. Huh? Did you ever write a bad check?
No.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
His friends started unbuckling my belt. I said, they're going to rape me. The first thing that came to my mind, I lifted up my leg and I kicked where it hurts.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Rebecca Duran swears Jesus Olgin owes her for rent, a broken window, and assault by attempting to rape her. Jesus claims Rebecca is upset because he dated her sister.
Well, the police found all your property, madam.
Yeah, most of it, but it does say...
The police found all of your property, according to this, according to the police report. So if you have any problem with the property, why don't you go to the police department? They must have it vouchered.
No, it says right there that they got one of my son's bracelets and says the value of them, but it also says that they didn't find the 3 initial rings with the diamonds and 2 bracelets, which those are very, very...
Very, very valuable.
Valuable to me.
Very valuable. Where did you get them from?
They were given through their godmother, each of them. And those you cannot replace, you know. You only get baptized once, not twice.
Let me see the reports that you have. All right, Mr. O'Queen. I'm going to ask you a question. Don't make me ask it to you twice. One time. Did you ever write her a note?
No.
It's good.
It's almost like a mind reader. It's almost like Karnak. That's right. Did you ever write her a note, sir, suggesting that she dropped these burglary charges that she had filed against you?
No, ma'am.
Do you know anybody who did?
No.
No. All right. Now let me hear about this attempted rape.
I was already scared with my 3 children. I found I barely left, and I told him not to be long because I was afraid to be alone with my 3 children. So I went to the back room where it used to be his room. We started reading a storybook. So I was getting ready to put him to bed. Actually, to bathe them and then to put him to bed. And all of a sudden, I hear the windows to my door break. And as soon as I heard that break, I got scared. I just told my kids, run into the room. Grab your brother, run into the room, and do whatever you can. Don't see nothing, just stay inside. My daughter didn't make it inside the room. My daughter was roaming all over the place while I was getting beaten up.
Getting beaten up by whom?
It was Jesus and some other guy. The other guy was covered. I can't identify to the cops who it was. If I knew who it was, I would identify him too. They started beating me up. My 3 children started crying, and I was scared because I didn't want them to see anything. While Jesus sat on my holding my hands like this, his friends started unbuckling my belt. I had Levi's on that night, okay? And as soon as I seen that they weren't gonna buckle my belt, I said, they're gonna rape me. The first thing that came to my mind, I lifted up my leg and I kicked where it hurts. And I wanna say exactly how the guy said it. The kicked me where it hurts. And they opened the door, they jumped. They didn't even run down the stairs, they jumped. I called the 911. My kids, I say, my kids are traumatized because of this, and not only my kids, but I am too, okay?
Now, just a minute. So now I'm looking at the police report. This is dated May of 1998, and it says the Oxnard Police has recommended that all charges against Mr. Jesus O'Queen be dismissed. And that was agreed to with the Deputy District Attorney. Did you have a discussion with them?
They never got in contact with me.
Your Honor.
Just a second, I'm not finished yet.
Okay.
You have a copy of this letter that you say was attached to some projectile that came through your window?
They told me that if you really needed them, that you could subpoena the pictures and the letters, that's the only way that you would be able to get them.
Well, I'm so curious as to why they dismissed all the charges against him, madam.
Because there was 3 people that claimed that he was at church at that time. You could do a lot of things in matters of seconds, and he got away with it.
So you're saying that the police didn't follow through because he had an alibi?
Yes. And they told me that the district attorney would get in contact with me, which they never did, because I really wanted to press charges on him because I didn't think what he did was right. Because he didn't only hurt me, he hurt my 3 children too. And
No,
it's a 5 and 4 and 2-year-old children. We're not talking about big kids.
Your Honor, one of the witnesses was a police officer from the Oxford Police Department.
One of the witnesses to what?
To my alibi.
Was a police officer?
Yes. And the other one was a pastor of the church, and the other one was the directors of the men's home.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Give me the name of the pastor of the church. You don't mind that I make phone calls, do you?
No, you go ahead.
What I'm trying to do is to ascertain how you recall that on that particular evening he was part of your congregation.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Rebecca Duran claims Jesus Olgin owes her for rent, stolen jewelry, and assault. Jesus says Rebecca falsely accused him of attempted rape.
Give me the name of the pastor of the church. Phone number, police officer's name, phone number. Get me all the information, sir, so that I can make some phone calls. You don't mind that I make phone calls, do you?
No, you can go ahead.
I mean, there really seems to be a lot of bad family history here. Very hard to untangle the web. But I'm going to try to speak to these 2 witnesses. Because Ms. Duran, it's possible that what you're telling me is absolutely true. It's very difficult to figure it out. But what I don't understand is why you waited until after he got a judgment against you to file this case. Okay. Thank you. You can have a seat. I'll be back. Is Pastor there, please? Sure. Is this Pastor? This is Judge Judy Scheindlin. I'm sorry to disturb you, sir, but could I have a moment of your time? I am in the process of trying a case in my court involving someone that I believe that you know. His name is Jesus O'Queen. Okay. And he has just testified before me, sir, that you served as a witness for him with regard to a police investigation sometime in March. Do you recall that? You remember what date it was? What I'm trying to do is to ascertain how you recall that on that particular evening he was part of your congregation. And how would you know he's in church? What time is your service in the evening, sir? And you saw him after the service, is that right, or before, or during? How long have you been the pastor of this church? Mm-hmm. What makes you remember this gentleman as having been there if there were 300 people in the audience and you'd never met him before? And has the police officer been a regular member of your church for a while? Mm-hmm. Okay, is there anything else that you'd like to add, sir? Well, I hope I didn't take up too much of your time, sir. Thank you very much. Right, you too. Bye-bye. It is practically an impossible case to resolve. Pastor advises me that he specifically recalls the defendant on the date that you claimed that he attempted to rape you and beat you up in his church where he has been a pastor for 13 years. He specifically remembers meeting him because all new people come up and are introduced by whomever brings them that evening. He specifically remembers him being there with this police officer who was also a regular church member who had been there for a year. In all probability, madam, that is why the police decided not to pursue this. Do you understand?
Yes.
And which gives me serious cause to pause for me to pursue it any further. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Call 1-888-800-JUDY.
Now tell me about this case that you had against her, in which you were granted a judgment for $3,500.
It was the furniture which I left inside of her house, which she did not let me recover.
Now, exactly what furniture is it?
It's 2 leather couches.
2 leather couches you have?
Leather?
Yes.
Leather, pleather, it looks like leather. What?
2 glass top nightstands.
What?
2 nightstands.
2 nightstands. What else?
2 dressers.
2 dressers. You have his 2 couches?
Yes.
You have his 2 dressers?
Yes.
And you have his 2 nightstands?
The nightstands, we left them out because I'm not no storage. And the mattresses, no storage. I got to store my...
She doesn't have the nightstand, sir, and she doesn't have the mattresses. Do you understand?
Yes. I was advised by a lawyer if she didn't have all the property to take it back to the small claims court for the second judgment.
Listen, you want to go to small claims court and get a $3,500 judgment against her instead of getting your property back? That's entirely up to you. I was prepared to try to help you. You're not going to collect this judgment. You can take it, you can frame it, you can put it up on your wall and look at it over the bureaus, the dressers that you don't have.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Do you understand?
Yes.
What's your pleasure? You want to go back to small claims court in Ventura County?
I'll pick up the furniture.
Smart idea. Tomorrow.
Yes.
Perfect. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
When a lawyer is in my courtroom, when I speak, the lawyer has to be quiet. That's one of the advantages of being the judge.
Justice with an attitude. Judge Judy.
He got away with it. You know, he got what he wanted. He left 3 children traumatized and myself traumatized. And that's the sad thing about it.
All these charges were dismissed because she lied. It'll all come back to her in the long run through her own self.
হ্যালো, সুন্দর এটা আপনি চাইলে খুব সহজে করতে পারেন। কীভাবে এটা করবেন, কী কী রঙ পেয়েছেন, এক ভিডিওতে শেয়ার করবো। অবশ্যই ভিডিওটা পুরোপুরি দেখতে বলবেন না। ধন্যবাদ সবাইকে।